What's going on, everybody? We are back. It's another brand new episode of Liam Picks Fights, brought to you by PrizePicks. That's the simplest game in all of DFS. If you're looking to get involved this weekend, all the information you need is in the description box below. You go to PrizePicks.com, you pick any two prop projections. It could be from the MLB, UFC, PFL, anything you want. You match two of them together. You can go overs, unders, whatever you want to play, and you just have to pick two prop projections or more. You can get a sweet payout. If you want my takes, I did drop them on Pub Sports Radio earlier this week. So if you want to go check that out, please do. PrizePicks.com. You use my promo code Liam. They will deposit match you 100% up to $100. And guys, with that out of the way, we have an absolutely insane breakdown for you. UFC 276, arguably the best card of the year so far. Truly a fantastic night of fights. I can't wait for this night of fights. I have been going deep into the murky waters looking for every angle I could find. And we had so much success last week that we're going to bring back the same wrecking crew that we had. So without further ado, friends of the show that you already know, let's reintroduce them again. First and foremost, my man Lou Betya, starting off strong, came in hot with that under 2.5 take for the not Kai France. Oh my God, they look similar though. The JP Buys fight, and oh my goodness, it came through in strides. If I had just played that instead of playing the JP Buys money line, I'd have been a rich man. Brother, welcome back to the show, and thank you for dropping the knowledge.
Oh man, poor JP. But also, like, I happened to see your PrizePicks video the other day because you did it with my little brother. You did
yes, sir.
My little bro Brady, man. That was a great show. Like, you guys killed it too. Like, it's funny. Brady's telling me, he's like, man, I'm not so sure about some of these bets. And I'm like, great spots in this card, man. And Liam,
100%.
That's what we're here for. Let's break down these best spots for the peeps.
Absolutely. And we've got the four horsemen of the apocalypse. The next one up is my brother and yours, Wizz Bets. Look at this man, fresh to death. How you feeling tonight, Wizz? Welcome back, brother.
Feeling absolutely wonderful. And I'm ready to break these fights down for you guys. We're back due to popular demand. You know we can't miss it. Let's go.
I love it. We already have some of the sharpest members of the chat already rolling with us. I already see the boys in here. So appreciate each and every one of you guys that has stopped by. And my man, my brother, Gordo Gambles, back on the stream. The man is on fire. He tried to warn us about this man, Carlos Solberg. I didn't want to take it serious. And then, boom, there goes my money right in an instant. How was that submission prop, huh? Jeez Louise, Gordo, welcome back, my brother. How you feeling?
Hey, man, I said this a couple days ago. I was going to never do this again, but I had so much fun last time. I had to be here. No one else would be here for. And, of course, I mean, I'm rocking the Blessed Express hoodie. I got my boy Max Holloway to support this weekend. But I'm super excited to break down these fights. One more thing. It's past midnight, so I'm one-upping Wizz's hat right away. Happy Canada Day to my Canadian folk. Let's get her going. Let's be some crazy boys to break down some fights, and let's make some money, boys.
Happy Canada Day, indeed.
The Mad Hatter of UFC 276 breakdown, Gordo Gambles. Guys, we have an absolutely fantastic card, so we don't want to delay at all. We want to get right into the action, and it's going to start in the women's division. I believe it's at 135 pounds. We'll be seeing Julija Stoliarenko seek a re-signing of her contract. So far, 0-for-3 in the UFC. She is really going to be drawing dead here. If she cannot get a win, she will, it's very unlikely she'll be re-signed if she goes 0-for-4 on her first UFC contract. So a lot of, implications here for who gets the win. And then on the other side, Jessica Rose Clark, she's on hard times. She was starting to build some momentum, thought she was making a push at around 34 years of age. And then Stephanie Egger comes through and wrecks that whole plan, pretty easily. In fact, kind of schooled her with the same move twice, just hit the same judo toss. She got back up, hit the same judo toss. And then she finished her with that rolling armbar. It was really beautiful work. And so the real problem that I have here is that I'm being asked to lay, like 65% on Jessica Rose Clark. And she's already dropped the ball in this price range many times. She's got a negative ROI as a favorite, as an investment opportunity so far in the UFC. And I think on top of that, you watch the fights, and I've heard a lot of interesting takes this week, but I found her striking game to be okay. I didn't think it was anything to write home about. Jessica I pretty cleanly outboxed her. So I think, I've seen many examples of people making fights very competitive with her. And then that fight with Egger showed me that she might have some real systemic physical disadvantages at this weight class. She was really competing with Jessica I a lot more. Julija Stoliarenko has never had this kind of size advantage over any of her opponents. I mean, think of the people that she's been fighting. Julia Avila is like one of the stronger people in the division, you'd have to think, especially that's not like a known name that people are talking about. I think that on top of that, Alexis Davis, she was a black belt when she was in the first in the UFC. She's been a credentialed grappler for some time. So that was kind of a uniquely poor matchup for her. And did you see how she got taken down in those fights? Like, she didn't get taken down. She got kicked off her feet once with a leg kick. So she fell over. And then she also got taken down off a caught kick, literally the second the fight started. She threw a kick and got taken down. That's just kind of bad luck. When they were on the feet in round 2, she absolutely boxed the shit out of her and clearly won the round. So I think that Stoliarenko, when I saw a plus 155, was a value bet. So I did take it. And I'm on an underdog to start the card off, gentlemen. And I didn't feel that way to start the week. I thought, it was going to be a favorite or pass situation. But, this is a girl who opened as a favorite. She got up to plus 155 as an underdog. And I started looking at the tape, and I don't understand it. I could see either one of these women winning, and there's a lot of implications. So kick it to my brother Lou first and see, do you have any bets on this fight? Are you interested in it at all? What do you think?
In a professional term, no. I see the coach TC, my guy in the chat, saying this fight is the battle of the two shit boxes. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, there's that old term, the bookies have to set lines. We don't have to bet them. Look, man, JRC, this line blew up. If you like the JRC side, it's too late. She's gone to a big number. At the same time, look, Liam, you're betting a number. I don't think you're betting the fighter more than you're betting the number. She hasn't won a fight that's lasted more than a minute and 4 seconds in her career. So, I feel like the narrative here is will JRC just jump into an armbar? And that's a very realistic thing. She could, but I'm not touching this one, man. There are way better.
I could see her getting outboxed too. I'm not sure that it's a guarantee she gets takedowns. I don't know why I'm supposed to believe that either. I mean, maybe it happens, but I don't know why I'm supposed to believe that. She wasn't taking down Egger. She was getting bodied in the clinch. I don't know. I'm curious to see.
I'm with you. Look, it's dog or pass. You cannot bet JRC at this number. You can't. It's unfathomable to bet her at this number. She's not a parlay piece. She's not any kind of bet. Even her decision line, that's 15 minutes she has to stay out of trouble. I don't trust her to do that. I don't trust her fight IQ. She's not defensively responsible. And I feel like Stoliarenko's, to Liam's point, could she outstrike her to a decision? She probably could. That's
she busted Alexis Davis' face.
It's very realistic that she could. But also the narrative is, if this hits the ground, she's armbar from guard, like we've seen in so many low-level women's fights. And the problem is just too many things that we're guessing are going to happen in this fight. That from a gambler, zero, a complete pass. To Liam's point, if you're going to bet this fight, it's dog or pass. If you want to play her sub prop, I guess, but she hasn't proven she can do it at this level. So the 155, don't be greedy. If you want to play the dog here, she's the play. And 155, it's never a terrible price to start your night off. But I'm off this completely.
Fair enough. Wiz, how do you feel about this fight?
I kind of feel the same way as you guys do. Now, if you guys caught the opener at plus 155 on JRC, more power to you. That's probably the only number I would probably take JRC there. It's the only issue with her is, like you guys said, the fight IQ. I don't think she's honed in on her skills in the UFC. And obviously, I mean, Julija Stoliarenko hasn't won in the UFC yet. So we can't really make a case for her either. So it's really the battle of the two shit boxes, like in the comments said. So I'm completely off of this fight. I can't be mad at you guys for taking the dog here. I'm just completely off.
I totally understand that. Yo, shout out my man Capping Service, absolute homie. Had a really, really intelligent thread on Twitter the other day about ROI and why it's a really important indicator in terms of your actual betting success and your profitability. So I think really valuable follow and truly appreciate that support. My man means a lot, goes a long way, and always happy to come here and bring this content. I haven't slept in a little over a day because I wanted to make sure I had all my research done and did the work, but truly appreciate it. And those are the kind of things that make it worth it. Excuse me. So thank you very much. And Gordo, my man, do you think that it's going to be a unanimous dog or pass situation here, or do you feel the other way? I feel like I sense some resistance.
You know what, man? This is not one of the fights I'm staying up late to really talk about that much. But if we're going to get serious a bit here, it is one where I bet it before I did my tape. All right. I am one of the guys with plus money on JRC. I got plus 111, I think it is, when it opened up before I did the tape. And even after doing the tape, I do think that she wins, but it's one of those ones where she's going to slip on a banana peel. Fight IQs, like we mentioned, the going into armbar. Because Stoliarenko is one of those fighters who is not armbar or bust, but armbar or bust. Like it's no other way to put it. I have to look at this one from a minute winner versus moment winner kind of thing, as Lou Betya would say. And I think that JRC is going to be the minute winner throughout the fight and probably the better fighter. Is she going to put herself in that situation? Is she able to do that? At the line it is right now, it is really unbettable. One opinion of advice I would give is maybe that Stoliarenko finish only bet. It doesn't look too bad. I don't think it's as wide as it should be, but I'm not running to the window to be able to bet that, right? There's so many better spots in this card. I think you can very safely pass. I got a single unit on plus money on JRC. I can't wait to be cheering until she gets armbarred in the last minute. Not really a fun fight, but you know what? It's a decent way to open it. Can JRC pass this test? Yes or no? I do think she's a more talented fighter, but can she, like Wiz said, hone in on her skills and stay out of danger for the whole 15 minutes? That's the real question.
You guys
the
know
much older fighter, the much smaller fighter. What's that, Wiz?
Do you guys know what Julija Stoliarenko was touted to be before her
the Ukrainian Rousey?
Exactly, the next Ronda Rousey.
Ukrainian Rousey.
There you go.
Because she's got all the arm bars. Yeah.
And
I mean, dude, Alexis Davis is a real black belt that Ronda Rousey punched out, mind you. People will forget, but that she just held her down in the old side headlock and gave her the business. But that was not like a formal arm bar, whereas like our girl Julija was giving her a couple good looks in round one. As the fight went on, it was kind of like, what are you going to do? It's bloody, sweaty, and now you're just stuck underneath a bigger woman. Because that's the truth. Is like Alexis Davis, big woman, been a bantamweight her whole career. She's like 38. She's a big, thick woman, been lifting weights a long time. Whereas our girl Stoliarenko was, I believe, at 25 for points of her career and stuff. So, certainly she's been the one passing out on the scale and all this stuff. Not really comfortable making the weight, certainly at this competition level. Yes, Gordo?
What I will just add, though, is if you guys want to play Stoliarenko, I think that's perfect. Just because it feels like a setup fight. I mean, a girl just coming off an armbar loss versus a girl who only gets arm bars. But I think that it's hard for me to really see the same level of confidence on Stoliarenko winning minutes. I can't get past the visual I have of her just being a punching bag and not being that good of a fighter. And I think that the armbar, the submission line at I think it's plus 320 at some places is definitely a good way to go. But at the line it is right now, I'm with you guys, dog or pass, but I'll take the plus money while it's still there.
You got some fun fans in the chat, Liam.
Love it. What I will say is I have had enough of this fight. We can move to the next fight, which is Jessica I and Maycee Barber. And I'm going to kick this one right to you guys because truthfully, don't have a very strong opinion on this one. Wiz the GOAT, my goodness. He's in two places at once. This man is doing remarkable things. But I think that this is a fight that I'm going to probably lay off from a betting perspective. Initially, I was thinking, maybe it was a dog or pass situation. It still might be, but I just have a feeling like Maycee Barber is probably too physical for Jessica at this point, and if she fights smart and just pushes into the clinch, she could probably beat her up. I don't think she would be advised to spend time at distance here, but that's just my opinion on the fight. I don't have a very strong one here. Gordo, do you want to take this one first?
I would love to. No, it's one of these fights where this is a pass for me completely. I can't really get behind the reason why I'd be wanting to lay chalk on Maycee Barber. That being said, I do think she's the rightful favorite on this one. Jessica has the ability to keep it close. So, I mean, I think that she could definitely win some exchanges here and definitely go for it. But I think this is one where you got to look at the over, you got to look at the decision and who grinds it out. And in my opinion, that is Maycee Barber. She has been robbed before, so I wouldn't put too much stock into it, but all for it. This is a complete pass for me. As a DraftKings player at heart, I have no interest in this one either. This is my fade fight of the week in all reasons. I wish I had more to tell you, but right now I'm just a bunch of good looks telling you to pass.
Love it. Love it. Lou, do you agree? Should we pass this fight?
I do, but like Gordo is saying she got robbed. I mean, she lost to Miranda Maverick. Like, so I don't want to hear about like her getting robbed. Like, you know, I had Clint TikToks in my brain for like weeks over that one. I mean, Barber's like decision is minus 120, and I mean that's all right, but like I have buddies that are betting I decision, which is crazy because I money line is like plus 245 or decisions plus 420. I mean, I don't see I finishing her. So like, if you just want to like stab at this fight, like that's great. But like, I know Liam's East Coast like me. I've convinced myself this card starts at 8 p.m. It doesn't start at 7. Starts at 8. Like, total pass on these first two fights for me. Like, should Barber win? Yeah, but this line is crazy. It's too wide. Like, it's not bettable. And like, I mean, and what if she does knock her out? Like, I don't want to be like, oh, cool, I bet her by decision. And like, she decided, like, Jessica I. And, you know, like, it's just not working to me. Like, by the way, you know, Jessica I, we have to talk about the OnlyFans fade is in effect here. Is that like OnlyFans fighters are 0-4. I heard they were 0-3, and then I'm like, yeah, Felice Herrig. Also, like OnlyFans, like this is not a critique on, like, it's not a political statement. It's not a critique or anything. Like, hey man, you can make money, go make money. Like, we live in a world, just go hustle. But like, takes you can only dedicate so much time, like one thing or another. Jessica I is starting to get into that. Maybe she's making some money. Like, God bless her. Like, she's the tail end of her career as it is. Like, I think Barber could finish her, but like, I'm not laying a penny on this.
I like it. Wizz, you too?
I actually have a hot take on this fight. I haven't bet it yet. I don't think I'm gonna bet it, but the way I'm going here is I think Maycee Barber is gonna finish Jessica I. A couple reasons. We've seen Miranda Maverick against Maycee Barber and how that fight went. Obviously, public robbery for sure. And after that after that win, I didn't really know what to expect from Barber. But the way she came out against De La Rosa really impressed me. She had a solid game plan and she actually followed it for once. She did not abandon the takedowns, even though Montana was known to be great on the ground. And I like the vicious ground and pound. So I think she's going to ground and pound her way into a TKO here. I don't think the price tag is justifiable no matter what. But I think it's a rightful favorite. I wouldn't mind placing her in a parlay, but am I going to do it? I don't know yet. Probably not. But yeah, I think Maycee Barber rolls here pretty easily.
I kind of like where your head's at. I'm gonna go just peep the board for 1 second, because I want to see what the price is on that play you mentioned. Because I don't hate it. In terms of if I was to find a play on this fight, it would probably be a Barber ITD. I'm seeing plus 330s, 20s, 25s on the board. Moderate interest, probably more interested in the KO unless
Liam, when you tweet something out an hour before these fights start and you're like, I did it, Barber round 3, we're all telling. Right?
All right. Well, I'll try and figure something out for the crew. But I do think that if I was to get on this fight, I kind of like that angle. The one thing I noted about Jessica Eye when I was doing my tape study is that she doesn't really have defense. She just has like offense and like, like being tough. Like it's kind of like her game plan. So I don't no, I did not ever roll with Jessica Eye. I don't think she was actually training at Strong Style during the time that I was there. So for whatever that's worth, I think she's definitely there now. I saw pictures of her back at the camp. So I do think, though, that that's like a big problem with her game. Even watching that old fight with Jessica Rose Clark, it was the same story as the stuff that you see now, which is she doesn't move her head. She just comes forward. She likes to throw her combinations. They're pretty rote at times. She throws decent combinations, though. So that's why at distance, she's okay. She'll throw like open side kicks to the body. She mixes it up a little bit, but like she has no regard for her safety. So like she will throw the same open side kick, even if you're waiting there with like a loaded up right hand to counter her. So I do think that Maycee Barber, who has rare, actual power for the women's divisions, I think that's something that's also interesting. If she's able to get off like a power hook on the feet, I wouldn't be surprised if she hurt her because Jessica just doesn't have very disciplined hand position. But with that being said, what's up?
Interrupt you. It's worth noting that this is one of the few fights where Maycee Barber is not at a huge size disadvantage. It's barely like an inch in height, which is something we haven't really seen. So her power is going to come into factor here.
I like it. So yeah, that would probably be the angle I'd look, maybe a round prop or something like that on the Maycee Barber side. But with that being said, this is a fight I kind of feel a little more confident in the outcome. Not to say I'm thrilled about it from a betting perspective, because I unfortunately missed the boat here. I kind of thought that there would be a little more resistance, but the money's kind of come all one way on this fight, and I understand it. Andre Muniz is a very, very talented grappler. He's one of the most talented grapplers in the division, potentially in the UFC. He's a third degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from Brazil, and you could see when he's rolling. I always talk about my favorite Jiu-Jitsu people are the ones that are just step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's over. They just move through these positions so fluidly, and they set you up. They bring you, like, they're literally just telling you, all right, move your hand here, then put it here, and we're all set. Thanks very much. And they just walk you through what needs to happen. And I think Uriah Hall in the past has dealt with even very good grapplers like Shoeface. That's a good win for him. That was in like 2019, though. He was a little more dynamic at the time. I think we're starting to see some of that slow. When I went back, some of the relevant tape for this card, Strickland fought him, and Strickland was bodying this man in the clinch like easily. And he is a guy who also can make 170 pounds. I think that we might see Muniz like go one time to the double underhooks, take this guy up, and then he goes right down into a really bad dominant position and never gets back up. That's kind of how I envision this fight going, because when I watch back that Eric Anders fight, you could say a lot of things about Eric Anders, except that he just gets like bitched in the wrestling. Like that just doesn't happen. He's like a big, strong man. He played like a linebacker in college, or whatever he played. He's a big football player. Like muscling those guys over. I could tell you, I go to a jiu-jitsu school. I've wrestled for a long time. Like, whatever. The hardest guys to muscle over are the football players, because they actually, spend a lot of time in these in tight positions, moving people around. That's an absolutely glorious spread that you deserve, my friend. Hard day of training. My man's got to carve up. Appreciate everybody being here. A lot of people hopping in now. We've gone from like 40 people all the way up to 81 people rocking with us. So truly appreciate that, guys. But overall here, my sentiments on the fight, I believe in the jiu-jitsu of Andre Muniz. I've believed in this guy as a prospect and a talent, and I don't think he's like dead to rights on the feet. Could he get knocked out? Yeah, he's been knocked out before. He's been knocked out in the first round. Uriah Hall's a big hitter. So am I going to ignore the fact that he could get knocked out in this fight? No, I'm not a fool. However, I think that if you watch this guy fight, you can see he could strike. He's knocked people out. He can hurt people with his strikes. He can move and throw in combination. And his counterboxing was actually really bothering Eric Anders and like forcing him to try and start like moving into the clinch to like push into him, because he was not enjoying eating those combination counters, hooks. He started throwing to the body a little bit as well. He could throw knees. He could throw kicks. So I just think Muniz is getting a lot better, and I believe in his upside in the division. I think Uriah Hall is unfortunately on his way out. Kind of got a couple, lucky wins along the way there. Took my money against Chris Weidman. God bless him for it. But that was, not really how anybody drew it up, right? So I think, I'm trying to get my revenge spot here. I'll maybe look for a prop market because I think it's going to be Andre Muniz, and I think it's going to be early. So that's kind of my thoughts on the fight. But all respect to Uriah Hall, he's not easy to out grapple by any means. I just think this is a different level of grappling than he's ever seen. And I think when Muniz gets on top of him, people will probably realize that fast. But maybe I'll be taught a lesson. I thought Adolfo Vieira was going to take down Chris Curtis. So you learn something new every day. Lou Betya, how do you feel, my brother?
Yeah, so finally we have a fight that I have a strong feeling on. I have Muniz sub at -120, and even though I don't love the play, I did take a poke on his round 1 sub at plus 220 on FanDuel. Look, the big narrative this week is, he defended against Shoeface. Well, that was 3 years ago when he was 34, and he's only getting older, and as the resident old man of the group, I can tell you that I feel the body decaying constantly. It's a big difference in age, and Uriah Hall hasn't fought any grapplers since then. I mean, well, I'm sorry, he fought Weidman, but that's fight was over in 12 seconds by a fluke accident. But I don't think Uriah Hall's looked great. I still think there's people that romanticize how good he was in The Ultimate Fighter forever ago, that spin kick. I feel like that's still it almost costs you 10 cents, just remembering that in the betting lines. But I love Muniz, and I think these cardio concerns, I get it, but I think gets a takedown early and just subs Hall. I don't know how Hall's gonna. I don't know, Muniz. And also, can I just say about Shoeface? I lost a lot of money on Shoeface because I love his goddamn nickname, and I'm just blind betting Shoeface because I want Shoeface in my ticket. But he was kind of a disappointment in the UFC. I mean, the guy's got all the tools. I think he's another guy that's romanticized. People think Shoeface is this ultimate killer, and he kind of had a mediocre career. He in the PFL, he's a dominator, but in the UFC, I think he was just all right. So I think Muniz is just nothing like Hall's seen really in 8-9 years. And look, man, his age is a concern. Everybody's questioning Muniz's cardio, but if Muniz is on top of him for 4 minutes in the first round, who's to say Hall's yep, I'm fresh to the daisy, man. I'm ready to go. Is it that easy? Oh, he doesn't get the sub, and now he has a cardio advantage fighting off submissions for 5 minutes. It's not that easy. I think Muniz is live to even get him in round 2, but I love Muniz by sub. I think first 2 rounds, Muniz gets him out of there easy.
I actually think, though, to the point of Rogue Strummer, I feel like Uriah is going to be difficult to submit. I do think that there is a path to a Muniz decision in this fight as well, which is just dominating him from the top. Because I did see Strickland was kind of just taking him down, riding him into the fence. It wasn't even a lot of sophisticated wrestling. He was just being a bully. He was just running him face first into a mesh cage, just being a jerk. So I think, anybody's really capable of that if they're pretty strong, physical, and determined. Wizz, how do you feel about this fight?
I'm going to shout out similar points that you guys made with the submissions from Muniz. But the one thing, I think Uriah Hall is a pretty tough guy to take down, in my opinion. He's shown it in the past, although a couple of his fights have been pretty shaky now that he's older. So the age is going to play into a factor. I feel like I missed the line by a million years, so can't really play the money line anymore. Now, an interesting angle I was thinking about playing, and I was talking to Lou about this earlier, was the Hall decision line at around plus 900 right now. And multiple reasons. I do think Muniz is the type of guy that has that death gas, where if he wastes it all in that first round, I don't know if he's gonna be able to take down Hall in the second or third. And with all those failed takedowns in the second and third round, it's just gonna do worse for him. And if Hall kind of wakes up this fight and starts to strike a little bit more and throw out some more volume, I do see the decision pretty live for him. But official prediction would be the Muniz sub. I think he's going to get it in round 1 regardless. But I would not be any which way surprised if this goes to decision, contrary to the popular belief.
You're on mute, Liam.
Mute.
Muniz sub round 1 is plus 175. I mean, like,
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I could never. I mean, there's just nothing. There's nothing on the bone there. Gordo, how do you feel, my brother?
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of your thoughts here, too. And I don't think that Uriah Hall's eaten his right amount of dino nuggies, Wiz. But we do the tape. We look at everything that we're seeing recently, and it's just, man, Liam, you're the BJJ guy. You tell me if I'm wrong, but Muniz is damn good on the ground. And I know the narrative this week has never been submitted. Hall has the 64% takedown defense. He's going to do well. He's going to survive for him. I think that Muniz is going to be able to be a step above. He's going to be able to take advantage of him on the ground and just break another arm. Hopefully not. Hopefully he just gets him out there gracefully. So I do like Uriah Hall, but I do think it is Andre Muniz's world this week, and it is available to win. When we're looking at this fight from a DraftKings perspective, like I want to, this fight's perfect to target. I think it is either Muniz early or Uriah Hall late if we're talking about most likely paths to victory, because I do talk about that cardio Muniz. But it is just an unbettable line. With that being said, I got a couple buddies coming down. I kind of want to have some action on this fight. I took the Andre Muniz round 1 or round 2 submission at plus 130, I think it is. That's a major win condition in my opinion. I think he either wins round 1, round 2 by sub.
Nice number, dude.
Yeah, I was getting, maybe it's a bit too cute, because I do think that the finish is definitely there on the ground with a ground and pound, because again, Uriah Hall never been submitted. But Muniz looks like to be a level above. I think it's going to be a super fun fight. But I definitely think that he can get him down there early. You can submit him round 1 or 2. Give me that plus money. Not as big as plus money as I want, but definitely still plus money for a fight that I don't think should be plus money in that area. So I'll take it, and wish me best of luck on it. LL Cool J.
Love it. I think, if you could find appropriately priced unders here, I think a lot of those things could be interesting, but also fading the narrative plus 600 on the decision, you could do worse. So with that being said, no bets for me on the fight, but rooting for my boy Muniz, one of my top prospects in the middleweight division, especially from a grappling perspective. And our boy Hidalgo, he's trying to box too much. I know one thing about Muniz. My man's coming out there to grapple 100%, no quit, no doubt. So let's get it. I really hope he does not break Hall's arm, but live possibility. This guy puts you in like real breaking positions and gives you, very few options. Like it's either tap quick or he's going to snap your shit in half. So with that being said, we can go to the next fight here. Very interesting fight. A lot of line movement on this fight. Very, interesting takes. I would say there might be a couple sharp splits on this card. I think this might be one of them, where you get, smart guys that end up with plus money tickets on both sides and feel real good about themselves for it. And in this case, gonna have to count myself among them. I did get an early play on the Duplessis money line here. Got in at plus 108 to win 2.5 units. So I think that Duplessis, to be honest with you, I've been cashing a lot of Brad Tavares tickets. I've cashed a lot of times on this guy in the UFC. I've cashed him by decision on the prop market. Like, I've had a good read on Brad Tavares fights, and I really like him. But I think this is like a bad archetypal matchup for him, because Brad likes to be in stand-up kickboxing matches where there's a decent number of exchanges and he starts rolling with your punches and moving and sticking and doing whatever and trying to throw low kicks and whatever. And I just think eventually when you're fighting a guy named Still Knocks that knocks out everybody he fights, or like hits them with shots that they stop moving, that's a really bad sign. He's got 3 knockout losses in the UFC, in 5 losses. I think if the fight goes to decision, obviously that's where Brad Tavares becomes much more live. He's a much more process-oriented fighter. He's a lot better of a minute winner. He trains with a much more reliable, known quantity of a camp. But I do believe that Dricuss Duplessis has made some physical transformations. I think he looks incredible in terms of his physical condition for the fight. And yeah, I've also been cashing some Duplessis tickets. I've been cashing his unders. Yeah, basically, I saw the fight not to go the distance the other day was -108 when Dricuss was out to -150. I was like, why would you be playing the one when you could get the other? Because the truth about my man Dricuss is if he loses, it's probably going to be inside the distance. My man is a killer, be killed fighter. He will put himself in the pocket throwing heavies. He will go for like grappling that puts him underneath sometimes. Like he will do aggressive maneuvers, but I think that also will put him in a position to win. I think it'll put him in a position to finish. And I think, unfortunately, Brad Tavares, that's like one of the ways you can get him. He's a very good fighter, but he's had a little bit of durability problems, especially against the upper echelon of athletes. And I think Dricuss might just represent that upper echelon of athletes. He is another one of those prospects I was talking about. I have my eye on like 3 to 5 guys in the middleweight division that I think could really make a difference. And I think this is one of them. So that's why I'm betting against my boy Brad Tavares here. I would only encourage you to do so at plus numbers. So if you could find, appropriate markets there, whether that's props or something else, whether it's fight doesn't go the distance for like short chalk, I think that's okay too. But I think it's going to be a violent fight. I think they're going to exchange. I think Dricuss hits harder, and I think he's going to put him down. Lou, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm with you. And like part of me feels like I'm walking into a trap here. I have fight doesn't go as like one of my biggest plays. I got it at -112. I mean, look, we look for trends in this business. Like Duplessis, 18 fights, never seen the judges. We're talking again, if I'm going to bring up moment winner versus minute winner, this becomes like, it seems like a simple fight where like Tavares is winning until he ain't. And like, when he ain't, it's over in 3 seconds. Maybe I'm biased here. Like Duplessis made me money, and I think maybe it's clouding my judgment. So just like in all fair judgment, like to you guys and like anybody watching, like I love the dude. I love what he brings to the cage. Like he's so powerful. I realize he's completely defensively irresponsible. He's not defensively responsible at all. But like my Lord, like. He's got this, and like Tavares has great takedown defense. All right. Like, let's get that out of the way. This is going to be a 15-minute standing fight. There's no Duplessis by decision. You like him, you take him in the distance. And I think you take him by knockout. Now, I have a play on him at +180 at knockout because I can't see this hitting the ground with Tavares' defense. He has 15 minutes to bonk him once. I mean, honestly, can he bonk him once in 15 minutes? 9 times out of 10, I think he gets at least one clean shot on Tavares, who's proven, like, if you look at Tavares' record, look at the guys he's beating. He's Akhmedov, not a great striker. And, like, Shoeface, grappler. Shabazian, that's a weird fight. Like, he caught him. Lost to Adesanya, but, like, hung in there. He beats Jocko, like, okay, Jocko's no power puncher.
He is like Shabazian's only win, might I add.
Yeah. Like Latest, not a power puncher. Teodoro, like, not a power puncher. He lost to Whitaker. He lost to Boach. Anybody that has any kind of striking talent against Tavares, like, there's this narrative because he's like Hawaiian and he's tough. And, like, this is not a knock on, like, Hawaiians in the UFC, but, like, it seems like the carry to every fighter that's out there. Like, anytime he's fought a good striker, he gets beat, and he gets beat handily. So, like, this is a good striker, man. Like, is he technically savvy? No. But this dude's the most powerful guy at this division. I'm like, it feels like a trap, but I'm just taking it. Like, I think Duplessis just round 2, like, bonks him. And he'll take one shot. That's it.
I will just say, though, I do think the club and sub is live because he is an aggressive like grappler. So like if he hurts you and you try and shoot or you try and do whatever, he is one of the guys that will try and pull something like that off. But he also, he hits pretty hard and he is a violent guy. I think if he hits you and you're hurt and you're like falling backwards, he's going to try and ground and pound you before he goes for the sub. But like if you try and wrestle into him or something like that, I think that's when he will grab he'll grab a sub. So I just wanted to say I think that is a live possibility, and the numbers have been getting crushed. What do you think, Wiz?
You stole the words right out of my mouth. That club and sub is definitely live. Here's the thing with why I think the fight doesn't go the distance. It's priced at such a line. A is because, I mean, Tavares' durability, I know he had that high kick KO loss to Shabazian. I think that was a little bit of a fluke, but I think Tavares has pretty good durability, pretty sound when it comes to the defense. But man, I just relate. I see the relation with du Plessis and a kind of similar style to Uriah, where he's just very unpredictable and very awkward to fight. And the way he strikes, there's a reason why he's catching these people so many times. There's a reason why there's so many finishes in all of his fights. And it's because of that awkward style. But I really like that club and sub idea. He has more submission wins than knockout wins. Let's just put that out there. And he's a guy that likes to go for the grappling. But I do think I rate Tavares' takedown defense. I think it's amongst the top in the division. So
that's where I bet on him every time. I bet on him, and I bet on him to win by decision. If you want to wrestle him for 15 minutes, you're just going to get stuffed. He's going to push you to the end of a single leg and punch you in the face. And I love that about Brad Tavares.
Mm-hmm.
Taking him down without him being hurt is not going to work. So I think there is a club and sub in the future for Dricuss du Plessis. But yeah, I'm with you, Liam, on the money line. We spoke about this earlier in the week. I have him to win 2 units. I got him at a really horrible number, but I just think he's the side this week. Sometimes when it's at that minus 110, minus 115 line, and I just agree that one side is the winner, I'm just going to take it. I'll pay the extra 15 cents. And
hey, dude, and it's continued to move in that direction. You know, it didn't just hang out at the minus 115 you played. It's now market wide minus 145 and above.
There you go.
Market average is sitting at minus 153 according to Best Fight Odds. Gordo, did you have a difference of opinion here, or what do you think?
You know what? I see this fight, and it's a DraftKings player's dream. Dricuss du Plessis, 100% finish rate. Never seen the scorecards. It's like, this is the guy you want to be betting on. And we do all the tape, and I've tried to fade Brad Tavares, and it hasn't gone that well for me. But I'm going to go back to the well. I'm with you guys on Dricuss du Plessis. He has such an awkward fighting style that I think he's able to go out there and catch him. And he's explosive. He's one of those guys who goes out there and looks for the finishes. And I mean, that's what he does. It's what he does best. And that's what I'm looking for on these big pay-per-view cards. With no disrespect to Brad Tavares at all. I always say whatever Liam says. It's like they all can beat me. They're in the UFC for a reason. But I can't see Brad Tavares being a UFC champion. He's a gatekeeper, in my opinion, with all due respect. And this is going to be a true test for Dricuss du Plessis. However, I do think he passed it with flying colors. Awkward stance. I think he's a very aggressive person. He's able to go out there, throws with absolute power, puts people to sleep, and that's what I think happens here. I bet the money line at minus 110 single unit. I'm just like, okay, that's what I'm going to do, single unit. But I saw a lapse in the line on one of the books, and I also took Dricuss inside the distance at plus 195. So I got a unit. Give me some violent fun fight. I was instantly going in there with the intention of playing Dricuss scorecards equal no action, just because I think that Tavares could very likely win a decision. But the line was blown out immediately, so I missed that. So just give me a fun, exciting fight. Give me Dricuss inside the distance. Love him on DraftKings as well. Such just an electrifying fighter, and I hope he adds to that finish rate.
I agree 1,000% on all fronts, and he will be in my DraftKings lineup as well if I remember to submit it this week. Let's get it. Now, with that being said, boys, we can move along to the next fight here. Just wanted to say, guys, if you're not already subscribed, get freaking subscribed. Every week, coming at you with the heat, bringing the fire. Absolutely killing it so far this year on the channel and bringing on great guests every week. Last week, everybody on the panel crushed it. So make sure you're following these guys. Their information as well as in the description box below, their third-party track records, anything that you need. Go ahead and find it in that description box, but get subscribed because we do this every week and we're dropping knowledge on your head top. With that being said, we can move on to a fight that I have some personal vested interest in because we got an Irishman, a fine Irishman, Ian Garry. He'll be taking on Gabe Green. And Gabe Green on the other side here, he's a very tough guy, obviously, and he really impressed me in this last fight. I thought Johan was a live dog in that spot. He's got big power. He comes out aggressively. He's going to swing. And we talked about it, I think, in the lead up to that fight, that this guy, Gabe Green, is pretty hittable. But he was able to take the shots. He was able to be resilient. He was able to show recoverability and keep coming forward. And he eventually broke him, mostly on cardio, but still coming forward, attacking the body. He had a smart game plan, and he was super aggressive. And he took the initiative, back from a guy who was beating him up. So thought that was pretty impressive. But I do think that, it might be a rock meeting a hard place here, because he kind of likes to come forward and be aggressive and get in your face and throw by any means necessary. And I think Ian Garry is going to be able to move around him a little bit. I think he's got the better footwork. I think he's going to probably cut a little better angles, try and hit him with pot shots, get out of the way. And I wouldn't be surprised if Gabe Green walked onto a big one here, because he kind of walks forward with the chin up a little bit, not the most disciplined hand position. I do think he's getting better. So maybe we see some improvements here. Maybe he's a little more defensively sound, but he was finished in like 20 seconds in Bellator by Jalin Turner. He's not a guy who's not susceptible to that. It's happened to him before. So something that we want to keep our eye on. It's been a while, but we just talked about the fact that he got hit cleanly in that Johan fight, and he was pretty badly hurt. The last point I wanted to bring up on this fight is no person has been hit with more strikes per minute than Gabe Green on this card. So that's for me a huge red flag, and that's something I'm going to be really nervous about if I'm on that side. That he's absorbing that kind of damage. We have seen that Garry punches through his target. He absolutely sent Jordan Williams to the land of wind and ghost. That was a brutal one. And so he's willing to take one to give one at times, but he's young, and I think he's fairly durable. And I don't think he's shown those flash knockout tendencies that we've kind of seen a little bit on the other side. So I think it should be a great fight. It should be competitive. I think if Gabe Green is able to take the shots and keep coming forward, he is live to come back in that third round potentially, because he's a dog and he keeps the pressure on. And so if he forces him to back up and skirt around the octagon the whole fight, that could tire him out. But I do think that ultimately Garry will also have that safety valve if he needs it, to wrestle, to grapple, to try and push that, wrestling a little bit on Gabe Green, because I don't think that he is, necessarily going to have a perfect takedown defense to offer. One of the flaws of coming forward aggressively is that you're very predictable where you're going to be next. So somebody could time your step and get a better reactive shot if you're following them than if you guys are standing at distance. So I think that's something else to keep in mind here. But yeah, truth be told, that fight with D-Rod is an insane fight, and D-Rod is a beast. But I do think, Ian Garry is a tough fighter as well. And I do think people are maybe getting on the fade train a little too early here, but we'll have to wait and see. I think that there may be other opportunities in the future, but right now I think Ian Garry, if this is going to be the matchmaking that we take, I think he's going to have a few more wins in the UFC. So Gordo, how do you feel about this fight?
Man, I love Gabe Green, but not here. I mean, this is one where I tweeted out early. Ian Garry's a guy, I think you said it perfectly. People are getting on the fade train way too early. This is going to be a super, super fun fight. And I was completely coming in here expecting to bet Gabe Green at this plus 300 number, expecting Ian Garry to be super wide, but that's not the case. And I'm looking at where the line is now, and I do think that it should be even a little wider. I mean, people didn't get what they wanted from Ian Garry, and for that reason, they're not as high on him. But you look at it, looking back on it, I know he didn't dispose of them as quickly or as proficiency as he should, but he did what he had to. He showed that he can win in the first round. He showed he can win a decision. What else do you want from a guy, a young upcoming prospect? The guy has shown that he's able to go out there, be a good counter puncher, adapt, see what he has to do, and do what he has to do to win. Now, Gabe Green is going to be a completely different challenge to him, coming forward, adding volume, being this wrecking ball. But not only is he 2 months removed, almost dying to Johan Dylaness, don't forget that, but he's going to be, like Liam said, predictable in a bigger cage. And when you're facing a counter-striking like Ian Garry, it is really tough to be able to set yourself apart, because I think Ian's going to be able to make those reads as the fight goes on. Yes, Gabe gets hit all the time. But when you're not being able to stay on him as much as you can in the small cage, I think it's just going to be a really, really long night for Gabe Green. I'm on Ian Garry this weekend. I think he wins a decision pretty comfortably. I know that the pressure, the volume is going to be there, but sometimes it's just discouraging when you're going in there and every time you walk forward, you're getting punched in the face 100 times. I know Gabe Green might be used to it, but I just see the fight goes on. Ian's going to be able to make more of his combinations clearer. He's going to be able to hit those strikes as the fight goes on more and more, get those reads, and win pretty comfortably. One day I will be fading Ian Garry, but it is not this weekend. I'm on him for a couple units on the money line, and hope he pulls through for your Irish buddy there, Liam.
Yeah, best of luck to him. How about you, Wiz? What do you think about this fight?
I'm going to have to be on the other side on this one. I was not too impressed with Gary's performance against Darian Weeks. I don't know why they blanked out there. And multiple reasons. Darian Weeks is, he has a boxing background apparently, but he didn't really use it. But what he used was the pressure on the cage. And that was a pretty greasy decision for a Garry win. And all he did was grind him out against the cage. What I think of Gabe Green is an upgraded version of Darian Weeks with hands, and pretty powerful hands. Now, I do not like the idea of Gabe Green getting hit so much. I think the D-Rod fight kind of skewed a lot of that data too, but can't really omit that. It was a fight that took place. But we've seen how Garry performs under pressure, and it's not that well yet. I think he's a young fighter that could potentially have a huge future in the UFC. But in this spot, I'm going to have to take the Gabe Green side. And I think he can do it in multiple ways. I think he can take him down and ground and pound him. I think he can knock him out on the feet, because obviously we saw how Gary's defense was against Jordan Williams, who I'm not saying doesn't have power, but Jordan Williams is no longer in the UFC, and it's for a reason. So I think Garry could get to him. The only issue is the height. Even though they're pretty much identical in reach, Gabe Green has just like a 1-inch reach disadvantage. I just think that he's going to be able to take him down and pressure him throughout the fight. I know it is a bigger cage. It's at T-Mobile Arena. So that's going to be a little bit tougher to do. But overall, Gabe Green has the cardio edge here for me too. Ian Garry didn't look that well in round 3, but neither did Darian Weeks. So both fighters were just like kind of gassed. Gabe Green is not going to gas like that. So I'm going to be on the green side.
Rock and roll, my brother. I respect that take. How about you, Lou?
How about I give you a completely different look on this fight altogether? I'm going to hit the prop market for this one. And I'm going to give you not a BS prop. I love fight ends in round 3 at plus 700 for this fight. And I'll tell you why. I think Green's tough, but he did get tagged against Lioness. The thing, his head's on the center line, like constantly, like, we're talking about he's there to get hit. Like, he really is. And Ian Garry's got some power. Like, look, did he get hit by Jordan Williams like early? Yeah, it's his debut. And like, it's just, I can forgive some of his horrible defense. I can't forgive his cringy personality. I can forgive some of his jitters, like the first minute of his first UFC fight. What I didn't love his performance against Darian Weeks at all, but he stayed very defensively responsible. Like, he at no point in that fight was he ever in danger. And I think that's important, that he stayed safe and he stayed smart. Now, Gabe Green doesn't stay smart. And here's how I see this fight playing out: is it's going to be 2 rounds of Ian Garry just tagging him. Like, Gabe Green just putting his head right out to be hit and getting hit and getting hit. And some grind and some dirty boxing against the cage, but just getting hit a lot. And round 3 is going to come, and it's going to be a very clear Ian Garry 2-0 to that point. Gabe Green's a dog. He used his cardio as a weapon. I don't think it's going to be the case where he can do that as much here, because Ian Garry's fought 5 rounds before. Like, his cardio is pretty good. And I think Gabe Green's going to have to go for it in the 3rd, and he's either going to just clobber Ian Garry, or he's just going to be setting himself up to get tagged left and right. And I at plus 700 odds for one of these to drop in the 3rd, it's like my favorite prop of the week. More so than the Strickland prop that all y'all motherfuckers are going to say in a few fights. I love this one to end in the third. I just think it's going to be a clear 2-0 at that point, and Gabe Green's going to go for it, and he's either going to go out on a shield, getting tagged by Garry, who's got the power to put this guy out, or Gabe Green is just going to swarm him and get him out of there. So at 7-1 odds, this is like one of my favorite props of the week.
Can't hate on that. I like it. Good rationale. Speaking truth. There we go. So we've got a bunch of different looks on this fight. I have not gotten to any bets on this fight, but if I did, it would probably be something on the Garry side. Maybe I'm going to ride with my man Lou there because he's got some conviction on round 3. So that seems like an interesting enough look for me as well. But with that being said, folks, we can move along here to the next fight where we will be seeing another fight in the 170-pound division. But, this is more of that legends weight division. It's a little something different over here. And I think it still should make for an interesting fight. We got Donald Cerrone taking on Jim Miller. Some real stakes here. Who's going to be the all-time wins leader? I really don't have a tremendous betting interest in this fight. It feels like the sketchiest to me on the card in a lot of ways. But if I had to make a play, you guys know me. I don't have a favorites mug here. I got an underdogs mug here. So I would have to be looking at the dog or passing on this fight. I'd have to get some kind of plus money or I would pass it entirely, and probably going to pass it entirely. But maybe one of you could sell me. My man Gordo's got a fire hat. So we're going to kick it to him first and see if he's got a tinfoil rim under there.
See, it's not a cowboy hat, but it's close to it. I mean, I'm riding with my boy Cowboy this weekend a bit. No, I'm just kidding. This is one of the fights I can't really put a bet on at all. I can't bring myself to go to the window. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy. If you're looking at this from a, let's say, picking sides perspective, I know everything's on there. You got to see Jim Miller's actually winning fights, and that's what I'm hearing all weekend is Jim Miller's actually winning fights. We'll give that to him. Geraldo Cerrone doesn't seem to be in it that much anymore. He's making movies. He's doing his own thing, and it's really tough for everyone to back him. But I do think the line is a bit wide. Where Jim Miller is doing these finishes and he is looking decent, he's not necessarily fighting to his fullest extent before he gets that knockout, right? He's shown to see have some flaws as well. And I think this is a decently winnable fight for Cerrone, in my opinion, if he's at his old-time Cerrone self, right? That being said, there's so many variables that I can't pick on this fight. Instead, I'm going to put those glasses on like they have, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy. The pick for me is to be Cerrone, but I think that it's either Miller early, Cerrone late. It's just tough for me to pick a side. I think it being at 170 that takes away the narrative of him cutting weight 3 times and kind of makes it just more of a balanced fight. I can see Miller knocking out Cerrone early, but if we're looking at minute winning, I think that's Cowboy, and I can't see really Miller submitting Cowboy that early on either. So the line's too wide in my opinion, but I'm definitely not going to be there to bet it. So I'll just wear the hat and look cool.
Yeah, I kind of think Nico Price has like weird power, and Cowboy was able to go some minutes with him and look pretty comfortable in that fight largely. So I think that bodes well for his potential at 170 relative to his potential at 155. But I also don't have the strongest read here. Wiz, how do you feel?
I'm definitely passing on this fight, but the whole idea behind why I think Jim Miller is the rightful side is solely, and when I say solely, it's solely because Donald Cerrone has had to make 2 really aggressive weight cuts to 155 within a 4-week span, and that deteriorates your body, especially at his age. It's not good. It weakens the muscles. He's not going to be as strong. I know this fight is at 170. I know that, but doing those 2 aggressive weight cuts within that month span and looking the way he did on the scales both times, it's not a good look. Good luck to anyone who is on the Cerrone side who's actually going to bet on him. But I would not be surprised if Miller knocks him out in the first round. That's just how I see the fight going, to be honest. But I'm completely staying away. My hands are empty here.
Sometimes the easiest way to make money is to save it and not waste it on a fight where you don't have a strong read. So nothing wrong with that, my brother. Lou, do you have a stronger read on this fight?
Wiz, do I have a strong read on this fight? Let me tell you how strongly I feel about this fight. and I am like love Cerrone. So I do a prop show like on my own channel at 6 o'clock. Here's how strongly I feel against the prop that my dude was making all week. He is on Cerrone decision at 5-1. Dude, you got to give me like 12, 15-1 for me to consider Cerrone decision with the condition of the fighters, whatever. I told him, you have Cerrone decision. I get Miller round 2. They are comparable, like odds, hair versus hair. That's how much I wanted to bet him. I will shave my head. Not that I got much, but I will shave my head on air. That's how much I hated his prop. Now, I get the money lines like wide, and like I get you bet on numbers. I understand it. I get gambling. But get the fuck out of here with this fight, dude. Miller and Liam, you're from Jersey. How dare you? How dare you bet against the Jersey guy, Liam?
I'm from New York. I'm from New York. Let's not get it twisted at all. You know, the people from New Jersey, they're very nice people. I like those people a lot. But
Liam, you know,
I'm simply from New York.
Liam, you know who's excellent? You know who's originally from New York? This motherfucker's originally from New York. So don't give me that shit.
New York rise.
And the prodigal son will return home in a few
Pride of
weeks.
Section 9.
It's Miller in the distance to me, or it's nothing. And like, I get, dude. I get you bet on numbers. Like from a betting perspective, like I completely understand that. His last win was against Ally Aquina 3+ years ago. Like, you can't bet Cerrone here. Like, it's if he wins, like, okay, like he wins, but like, how do you bet a dude that's looked so washed for 3 years? And to Wizz's point, has gone through weight cuts, has had these start and stops. Like, there's just no equity on Cerrone. And it's crazy to me, like, you know, every last couple weeks, oh, like Lozon's going to kill him. And like, I get it. Lozon was a dog. I understand it. But like, how many people were on Lozon round 1 because they're like, he's going to clobber him round 1. Now all of a sudden, like, well, it's at 170. Like, oh, okay, it's a whole different. Well, so Miller doesn't have to cut weight either. Like, man, Miller's the better fighter all around at this stage in his career. He's more active. He looks healthier. Like, and that's the most important point. He looks healthier than Cerrone does. Like, man, like it's Miller in the distance, which is even money. And by the way, Miller has no decision equity here. It's in the distance, or it's gonna fall over in the third probably. But like, I'm Miller in the distance. It's even money, and like honestly, to me, that's his money line here. Much like Jessica Ives plus 420 decision is her money line. Miller's money line is in the distance. It's even money. That seems about right to me. And like one last point on this fight before I move on. We know how these old school fighters are. Like, these aren't the dudes. Like, I know Cerrone loves hugging people. These guys like Miller, they ain't shaking hands like every round. Like, they're not fist pumping every round. Let me tell you something. You don't fucking think Miller's been thinking about this for 8 years? You're crazy. Like there's like revenge spots in sports a real thing. I know this sounds ridiculous. If you don't think Miller, when this fight got announced, isn't like, I'm getting my goddamn win back, you're crazy. These are professionals that care about their craft. If you don't think Miller is like, oh, I'm getting my win back, he's getting his win back here. Like, this means a ton to Jim Miller. And like, this is a narrative that nobody's talking about. Liam, I'm sorry for like going crazy about this one. For whatever reason, anybody on this Cerrone decision, it's like, it's making me irrationally angry. And I have posted on Twitter, I'm going 9-1 this week, or I'm going 1-9. I sort of feel like this is the fight that will determine all of it. Even though it's in the middle, like, I sort of feel like if I nail this one, they're all these motherfucking dominoes are falling.
There you go, man. It's the straw that will break the camel's back of this event. But best of luck to these guys. I just hope they don't break a hip or whatever on the way out to the octagon, like happened.
Hey, bro, it's okay being old. It's okay being old, Liam.
I'm saying our poor boy Joe Lozon couldn't make it to the ring. He was like sideways in the knees or something.
By the way, did you feel like some bro on TikTok was like, by the way, try this? And he's like, oh, shit, I can walk.
I did see that.
Like, what?
That also sounded so like, I don't even want to get into that. I was just like,
he's like, oh, cool, I'm good.
like the UFC doctor doesn't know what to do, but the guys on TikTok know what to do.
How do you dislocate your knee? Exactly. How do the UFC doctors not know how to fix the dislocated knee, but the TikTok doctors know how to do it? What?
Dude,
That makes no sense.
It sounds like some.
I'm learning in my old age. I'm learning in my old age. TikTok is like they're a bunch of goddamn geniuses on there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll never find out. But that being said, we can look to. Nobody else has an opinion to give on this fight. That's correct, right, boys?
No, I just gotta ask Lou real quick. I gotta ask Lou,
Please fire away.
What's the tax on the acting career? I know we got a OnlyFans tax, we got a dead animal in the head tax. What's the acting career tax here?
Well, really, the tax would be like how many Budweisers did he drink? They said they were free on set, but like then he came back, so hasn't been on set. So like, look, as a career, I mean, I've had a couple soda pops in my life, like. Look, man, if he hasn't been out there in 2 weeks, if he ain't getting unlimited buds, and look, let's not pretend like Donald Cerrone, he goes wherever he goes. He's got unlimited buds wherever he goes. He walks into a bar, he's getting unlimited buds. This bro's getting unlimited buds.
Dude, he's like Steve Weisers. They just throw it to him as he walks in the door. He cracks 2 of them over his head.
If you want Donald Cerrone to have a couple beers, give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, dude, he knows. Like, so look, he's not acting. I mean, is he still drinking? I mean, I can only guess as a 39-year-old bro who's got like, I mean, the spoiler is he's probably still getting hammered. Like, can he get in the cage in this condition? Absolutely. It's not his skill set. It's his chin. Like if you tell me Miller's not going to bonk him at least once, and that's all it might take, but like, how do I rate his acting? I mean, I love It's Always Sunny, and Liam, you better love It's Always Sunny too. Like him and Felder. I mean, is he drinking that? Is he drinking fight milk? Is it made from real crow? Do we know this? Like, can somebody give me like intel? Because if he's drinking fight milk from real crow, y'all may change my bet, bro. Like, I don't know, man.
I hear you. But with that being said, there's a fight that's absolutely incredible. It's been dividing the fight world. It's been the source of great agony and concentration for me. But we've got a really fantastic fight here that will be our featured prelim. Brad Quake Riddell, one of the absolute homies, will be coming back in this fight to take on rising prospect Jalin Turner. And it's a hell of a damn fight. It's a very well-matched fight. You got Brad Riddell on the one hand. He's a very technical kickboxer. He's got a pretty well-rounded skill set. He trains with a very good core group of fighters. He's got that Muay Thai background, the kickboxing background. He's very well schooled as a striker. He's coaching guys at the professional level how to strike. So he's obviously very good and very competent. However, I do think that he's got a very unique build as a lightweight. He's kind of got like a very muscular build. He's short, stocky, and he doesn't have a terribly small reach, but it's definitely not going to be as long as somebody like Jalin Turner. Like Jalin Turner's an absolutely massive lightweight. He's going to come into this fight 6'3". He's going to have a massive reach advantage over Brad as well. And I do think that those are hard physical advantages to overcome when you pair it with the stylistics, because Brad Riddell tends to be a guy who goes out there, he gets reads, he establishes what you're doing, he starts to figure it out, and then he starts setting up more and more elaborate counters. And I think that he might not have time to do that here. He might get swarmed very early in this fight by the length and the monstrous damage that can come from somebody like Jalin Turner. Now, am I blind to the fact that Jalin Turner could get knocked out in this fight? No, I'm not blind to that fact. Brad Riddell hits like a truck. He hasn't gotten a UFC knockout yet, but he has hit guys very hard. He had Jamie Mullarkey on the ropes several times, but I think people forget Jamie Mullarkey had him on the ropes several times as well. And Jamie Mullarkey is not the same level of striker, but what he is a cardio machine, like Brad Riddell. Brad Riddell has beaten people by being a good third-round fighter, by being a tough, gritty son of a gun, and by just really wanting to win. Like, he's kind of like Volkanovski in that way. Like, he's just an ornery son of a bitch. He really wants to win the fight. Like, he's going to really try to win the rounds every time with a takedown, with whatever it takes. If he needs to kick you one more time, he'll try and kick you one more time. So he's a gamer in that sense. I just think that this guy, Jalin Turner, if he's able to continue making the lightweight limit and he's able to be healthy and feel good on fight night, he's going to be an absolute handful for most of the guys at the top of the division, even because he has extreme length. The one problem is his chin, right? He's been checked before, but it's been a while. And I do think that it is interesting to see this guy with this size and the grappling that he has, because I think if he's able to hurt Brad Riddell, or if Brad shoots an errant takedown and he's not careful and he leaves his head in the hole, Jalin Turner's the kind of guy who could make you pay. He's a very dangerous grappler. He's continuing to roll and improve his grappling game on a daily basis. So I think that we could see improvements from him fight over fight. He is the younger guy here as well. And I think that, when you think about how the UFC likes to position people, how they like to promote fights, what is something that they really have an easy time promoting? Big, devastating finisher, athletic as hell, got an interesting story. We'll talk to you about spiders and he's got tarantulas walking on his head and stuff. Or a guy who's just like a really nice guy who does everything right and he coaches and he fights really hard and he goes to decision every time. It's like, just truthfully, that's a lot harder to promote. It is. Now, you could promote him as friends with Izzy, he's friends with the champ, all this stuff. But I think that the UFC was like, Jalin Turner's riding a wave of momentum. Brad Riddell, we just found out Fiziv's the guy, not him, from the Tiger Muay Thai base. So let's move on with him and we'll try and usher him out of the rankings. That's what this fight feels like to me. So if you're looking at the prices now, I'm not advocating to go lay the -155 or whatever it is on Jalin Turner right now, because I do think Brad Riddell is a very serious challenge. He's a very tough guy, but I think that Jalin Turner, when he dropped down to that -115 tag that I played him at, I thought that was a good entry point, frankly. He opened a -175 favorite here. I think bookmakers were acknowledging some of these physical advantages that are hard to overcome. Brad Riddell's a tough guy. He's going to work to overcome it, but Drew Dober, who's like kind of got the same build as him, had him rocked in the early portions of that fight, right? This is a complete different ballgame where he might be getting rocked and not be in range to like do anything about it. So that for me is a big problem. I think it's going to be important for him to get off leg kicks and to get off body kicks in this fight, or he's going to be screwed. As far as I'm concerned, he's got to compete at kicking range with Jalin Turner. But I think it's going to be an excellent fight. I really respect both these guys. I did lose a bet on Brad Riddell against Fiziev, so that'll tell you the respect I have for him. But again, that was underdog money. This is getting, when it was -115, -105, it's getting to the point of pick'em range on a guy that I think should be favored. Now I just don't think there's meat on the bone. I think the right guy is favored, but I do think it's a fight that either guy could win. Love and respect both their skills. Lou, how do you feel?
I agree with that the line got away, but in chat, I believe Kappa BetMMA put up the sub prop on Turner, and I think it's grossly mispriced. I think like it's +700 for a very realistic condition, and like, look, like look, Liam, this is nothing on like everything Liam said is correct, like about the line getting away. The fact of the matter is, for me though, I can forgive the Fiziev fight, like it happened, like the dude's an elite striker. The thing with Riddell is like he's kind of, we know what we're getting at this point. I don't see evolution in his game. I think he's one-dimensional in terms of his striking. I'm not saying he's a bad striker. I'm saying is he's very one-dimensional. We know what we're getting. And meanwhile, like, you could argue like Turner, like, all right, he beat Brock Weaver, like he beat Uros Medic, and I'm not even like, the Medic win isn't like aging well. Like Medic just beat like a guy with like the worst fight IQ I ever saw in my life. And then he beat Malarkey, and like I goddamn love Malarkey. Like I love War Malarkey. The thing is when I see one fighter who is leveling up exponentially every fight, like Turner is just like he is getting way better and way more diverse in his game. That performance against Malarkey is better than anything that Riddell's done in his career. He had him from moment one. He dominated Malarkey, like owned him. He looked like a -800 favorite the second that start fighting, which is not easy to do against a guy like Malarkey, who's like an awkward style. I'm just really impressed with the improvements Turner makes fight to fight to fight. I think he gets him out of there. And to your point, Liam, I mean, it's like you're getting near that point of resistance on the line where, like, if Riddell gets to like +140, 150, I get it. But man, I think Turner is going to smoke him. And I really think this sub prop is crazy priced. This plus 700, a very clear, like, I think Turner gets him out of there. This is a very clear path to victory for Turner. And like, just as a scenario for everybody in chat that's listening, I think Turner can outstrike him. But like, let's say this fight's gone 2.5 minutes and Turner does not like how it's going on the feet, which is a very realistic possibility. Tavares, no joke. Riddle's no joke. Sorry. Like, what if after 2.5 minutes he doesn't like how it's going and Turner just says, all right, screw it, I'm taking it down. I'm taking it to the ground. That sub's not live. That doesn't become his game plan going forward. Path of least resistance. Turner seems very well coached. He has good fight IQ too. I think he's improving leaps and bounds every time. This sub is it's crazily priced at plus 700. It's banana land odds. So Turner in the distance and a poke on the sub. Ship it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love
What's
it.
up, Clint?
Did take a small share of the fight to end by sub at plus 600. Everybody got on it too quick, man. Like, I never am gonna be sharing my sub looks too early because people hit that as soon as it dropped, man. Plus 950, it was plus 700, and at that point, Brad Riddell's never submitted anybody, but when there's $1 difference between the lines and anybody can grab a rear naked choke in MMA if you hurt somebody, that I just had to take the plus 600 for a smaller bet. I would have went, if I could have got that plus 950, I would have went a full unit deep here. I would have been betting to win 10 units, Jalin Turner by sub, not because it's his most likely path, but just because if I hurt somebody who's a tough, resilient guy like Brad Riddell, and I know that they're not going to quit on themselves, it just had to, it would just have to be a play at that point because Jalin Turner, he's got long arms, he's got really good front headlock sequences, and I just think he's dangerous in all positions. I think he could take the back too. So I think all that's interesting in this fight. But curious to hear how the gentlemen underneath think about this fight. Which one of you wants to take it first? So,
I'll talk. My man loves to
slam
talk.
it. Slam it.
All right.
Slam it.
We're looking at this one, and you guys did a great job breaking it down. This is a super fun fight. It is my favorite fight of them being on my sneaky fight of the night already. It is my favorite fight to target on DraftKings already. But when I was talking about early in the week, I tweeted out, do you guys ever feel like you do the tape, you think someone's a favorite, but your gut says otherwise? This is the fight right here. I did all my research. I think, wow, Turner's a beast. Anthropomorphic advantages. He's got the sub game there. He's going to have the length, the power. This guy should win the fight. But deep down in my gut, every time he goes in for those exchanges, every time he gets a little wild, a little loose, Riddell has great counter hooks that could definitely put out Jalin Turner here, which makes you a bit nervous. And that's kind of why I was a bit cautious with this. Then the line drops. I was talking with my boy Phoenix MMA, and I saw the under 2.5. I hit the under 2.5 for minus 138, and that was my biggest play. I saw Clint tweeted out right after I played it too, and I was talking to people on Twitter as well. This is my lock of the night challenge play right here. Under 2.5 minus 138 is what I played it at. It is a great spot in my opinion. I think Turner is the guy I should be back in here. He's the guy that I think wins this fight a lot of the time. Great power, great length, great anthropomorphic advantages. But the problem with it is he's all, I don't want to say he's all gas, no brakes, but he's been finished 3 times. He's known to have been caught. And Riddell's fight style, he's got great boxing in the clinch. And I think that if Turner stays there for way too long, he can get caught. So instead of just taking Turner inside the distance, I took the under 2.5. I love that play. Shout out to Clint, because I know he's playing it as well. It's a great spot. Let's do it.
Full respect to that. Shout out my man Clint in the chat here. Good guys rise. That's what we're hoping to do again this weekend. And I kind of like the fight doesn't go the distance here as well. I think that is a pretty decent spot no matter which side of this fight that you're on. Brad Riddell, both of his career losses, I believe, are inside the distance. The same can be said on the other side there. So 2 guys that have been finished, 2 guys that have been hurt in their fights, but also 2 guys that are really dangerous, really fun bangers. Should be a great fight. Wizz, how do you feel?
Yeah, so this is my favorite fight on the card. I'm just going to put it out there. I am on the Turner side. This is the way I analyzed it. I think the length advantage in both, so the reach and height is going to play a big factor in this fight. And there's multiple fights on this card that have similar height and reach advantages for one fighter over the other. And it just increases just because of the height. The height difference is just ridiculous. 5'7" to 6'3". That adds a whole probably like 3 to 4 inches in how far Riddell is going to have to punch up to knock Turner in the head. So that's one thing. So it's going to be a little bit harder to touch up the face of Turner, in my opinion. And every time Riddell tries to go ahead and enter in the clinch or enter in pretty much Turner's guard, it's going to be at a consequence of him eating 1 to 3 different punches. And one thing I didn't like about Riddell's defense is his susceptibility to the left hook. His left hook defense is almost non-existent, in my opinion. And that's one of Jalin Turner's power shots. He's put people out with it before. I could see it happening again. I'm on this fight in multiple different angles. I'm on the money line for Jalin Turner. I'm on the sub for Jalin Turner. I'm on the under 2.5 for the fight. And then I have a small on the inside the distance as well. This fight screams violence to me. I don't see any other way that this fight ends. I don't see a decision. And I think it's going to be towards the Turner side, probably round 2.
If I may add to, I completely love that entire breakdown. And I did kind of get carried away. I know Dan pointed out, but this is my favorite fight. So I'll give myself a break there. I also did edge Turner. I did the research. That's the side I picked. That's the side I bet. But if we're looking at this from a realistic perspective in my mind, what I'm seeing it playing out is the violence is there for sure. No matter how much I cap Turner to win this fight, Riddell's win condition is that exchange in the pocket, in my opinion. So this is one where I'm taking the under, just like you guys. The popular bet. It's where the hard hat comes out. It's where I'm going to play in the MMA Lock of the Nights tournament, hoping to keep that crown. It's a dangerous one, but I'll be watching this fight with so much excitement. It is so much fun. I'm glad to see us all align, and let's make some money with it, guys.
Nobody has more elite hats at their disposal for a stream than my man Gordo. He's been a cowboy. He's had a Canadian independence hat. He's had a hard hat. He's all over the board, and he's got a halo now too. He's literally undefeated. Shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, Gordo Gambles. But guys, we got a main card still to break down, and this is admittedly a fight that I don't have exactly the strongest read on. But I'll begin by saying that we've got 2 very tough fighters here. We've got Sean O'Malley and we've got Pedro Muniz. And the reason I think this fight is very interesting is because on the one hand, I think the footwork advantage is going to go to Sean O'Malley here. Bigly. You know, he moves around much better. He's a lot more fleet of foot. He's a lot more light on his feet. And to be honest with you, I think, you know, one of the things that separated that most recent Nick Diaz performance from Nick Diaz performances of old was the fact that he lost his legs. You know, he lost his fighting legs. And it's something that we don't really talk about as much in MMA, but I've heard them talk about it more in boxing. And you could tell that somebody's done for their career when they can't move anymore around the ring. Like they can't properly like bounce themselves around the ring like they used to, especially if their style depends on it. You know, if it's one thing if you learn to just be like a flat foot boxer and you're walking them down, but it's like if you're always bouncing and whatever, and then one day you just can't do it anymore, your style's done. Your style's completely bankrupt. So I think that is that's a potential problem for Pedro Muniz, is that he's getting slower, and a lot of what he did was timing, you know, big aggressive counters. He doesn't have a long reach, and so he likes to do things to force people to come inside. So he hits you really hard with these low kicks and makes you like commit to, you know, boxing him in the pocket or something, because that gives him a chance. And he is a powerful guy. He swings big hooks and he does have great low kicks. But I think the problem he's going to have here is that his legs are not very long relative to somebody like O'Malley. And so I think O'Malley is going to be stance switching. I think he's going to be skirting around the larger octagon, making him follow. And I think he's going to be tagging him up with strikes for the vast majority of this fight and not being a stationary target. I could see Pedro walking onto something big in this fight. He's never been finished before, but he's kind of like fighting for his relevance in the division. You know, he really needs to get this win. And I would think that it's not the most likely outcome, but I'm just saying, like, if you're in constant pursuit coming forward, like Aljamain Sterling doesn't really have the sauce to put on you, but he was hitting him over and over and over again, like relentlessly. And Sean O'Malley, he has better shot selection, and instead of like spamming a little bit, like Aljo was doing, and more power to him. I mean, he was able to do it for the full 15 minutes. He looked great in that fight. But I think you see a lot more shot selection and a lot more, choices being made on the feet by Sean O'Malley. And I think he's probably going to pick his spots better and really tag Pedro on the chin and test that durability in this fight. So it should be an excellent, excellent fight. I don't love the money line here at all. That would definitely keep me off the O'Malley side. But I do think that, the UFC has match-made Sean O'Malley appropriately up to this point. I don't think they're trying to set him up for failure here. I think they want him to win this fight, and I think they think Pedro's legs are gone, and I think that's why they're giving him this fight. But respectfully, Pedro is a killer. His guillotine is one of the best in the business. I've studied it. I want to learn from it. The way he rolled over Rob Font and made him look so bad in that fight was really impressive. So I think that Pedro is a beast, and he's worthy of our respect, but he doesn't wrestle. And he doesn't really try and put fights into the grappling. I do think O'Malley is a pretty talented grappler in his own right. So how do you feel about this fight, Lou?
I think Sean's going to be the first guy to knock him out. And I know it's a square, weird public play, but round 2's plus 650 for the KO. Round 3's 1,300 for the KO. Look, this is another situation where, like, there's some weird fights in this card in terms of recency bias. But this is almost like the reverse case where, like, if I look at what Muniz has done, like, the Cruz fight was, like, competitive, all those, whatever. He beats Jimmy Rivera where, like, he leg kicked Jimmy Rivera. Like, I mean, Jimmy Rivera didn't fight in the UFC ever again. Like, and Liam, Rivera's a local guy too. Like, he's local to us. Like, Rivera's a tough dude. And Muniz just, like,
good boxer.
But Muniz just, he got punched a couple times.
But the thing is, look at their body type.
I understand, but, like,
similar.
But Muniz fought a very smart game plan. But, like, other than that, like, he lost to Edgar, he lost to Aljamain, he beat Cody Garbrandt. Like, oh, okay, like, great. Like, no offense, like, Cody Garbrandt at this point, like, kind of like gets hit, it's like glass cannon. Like, so the thing is like, I think we romanticize Muniz for being this, like, tough dude. And we're saying, like, he's got one weapon against O'Malley, leg kicks. And everybody's like, well, O'Malley says, well, leg kicks. But, like, okay, like, have fun trying to do it with a 10-inch reach disadvantage. Like, it's tough. And, like, honestly, I think every time he tries to close distance, it's going to be target practice. And O'Malley's not like, I mean, O'Malley can hit, man. Like, there's a reason that Dana White loves the guy. It's not because of his attitude. It's not because of the stuff he says, like, publicly. It's because the dude can hit. He has, like, crazy power for this weight class. And, like, is the damage going to accumulate? I kind of think he might be. Look, man, everybody's chin goes at one point. I'm not saying he does, like, a Matinho thing where he hits him. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think he hit Matinho 17,000 times. Do I have the striking numbers right from that fight? That he hit Matinho, through round 2, he had 15,900 strikes. I think that the damage is going to accumulate, and I think the round 2, round 3 KO props are super live here. I don't think Muniz is going to land leg kicks. I don't think he's going to get the distance, and I think this is going to be this minus 300 is going to seem like a joke. And I'm not a big Sugar, and I am not, like, the biggest Sean O'Malley fan. This is a mismatch to me.
So the one point I was going to make was that the distance strikes absorbed per minute spent at distance, the highest on the card is Gabe Green at almost 9 per minute. But second out of all the fighters on the card is Pedro Muniz at like 6.5 strikes per minute. It's a lot of strikes to be absorbing, especially against a guy who already has a huge differential at distance like Sean O'Malley. So I'm not saying, like, on stone that he's going to knock him out. Because I do think Pedro is, like, shockingly durable. Like, he's taken, some beatings. I thought Aldo was beating his ass, but I do think that, there's a qualitative difference between the speed, even of a Dominic Cruz at this stage, and somebody like O'Malley. I think he's a lot faster.
Can I add?
I think his hand speed is going to be devastating. Yes.
Let me just want to add one last point to this. Is that I think we haven't brought this up. Liam, I know you like have a big wrestling base. Like, you know, I'm like a boxing base kind of guy. And O'Malley's ability to switch stances so fluidly now is something I don't know that Muniz has really dealt with a dude that has this much power that can fluidly switch. And I really think just like no matter what stance O'Malley goes from, he's going to throw angles at him that are like nothing he's seen. I mean, honestly, like look at the guys that Muniz has fought. He's never seen a guy that can switch stances like this so effectively. Like, no knock on Cruz. Cruz doesn't have the power. Like O'Malley has terrifying power for this class. And like the ability to switch stances so frequently, like don't be surprised if he goes southpaw like the whole first round. Like don't be surprised. He's like, all right. And I think he's going to throw looks at him that he's just not used to seeing, and the damage is going to accrue. I just want to make a point. The switching stances, like his boxing and the ability to like the different angles he can come from is a big thing here, man. It's an underlooked factor in this fight for me.
Wiz, how do you feel?
You guys highlighted it perfectly. I just think the reach advantage of O'Malley is just going to be like target practice against Muniz, who eats absolutely everything. And I understand the angle of leg kicks that people are talking about, but I just think the leg kicks are going to be insignificant. Even though O'Malley had that leg injury against Marlon Vera, I don't think it's going to be that significant against Muniz. When Muniz is getting touched up 6 to 7 times per leg kick, is it really going to be worth it for him to go in for these leg kicks anymore? Probably not. So I can see O'Malley winning inside the distance. I can see him winning a decision. I'm not playing the money line. It's just, the line's too wide to play at the moment. And yeah, I just don't really rate Muniz all that often. I like his chin, but other than that, his boxing is just pretty basic. It's pretty pitter-patter from what the tape shows. It doesn't really set up his combos all that well. And the main reason for me saying that is because when he sets up these combos, he's getting thrown at with multiple punches. What are you going to do against that? It's once you face someone with power, you're going to get punished for something like that. And I think this is his punishment. So I think this might be his first finish loss.
I like it. How about you, Gordo?
Yeah, I know. Lou's over here talking about his boxing background. Liam's got his wrestling background. What's mine? I guess that'd technically be a hockey fight background. If these guys fought in a hockey fight, I think Muniz would die. First of all, he'd just be held out like this by his jersey, not being able to reach him. And he can't throw any leg kicks. What are you supposed to do? Anyways, we're looking at this from a actual fighting perspective. And it's a funny one because I actually have no bet on this one at all yet. And we look at it. I talked to my my buddy and he goes, wait a minute, didn't Sean lose to leg kicks? And what is Muniz good at? Leg kicks? Yeah, well, there's a lot more to it. I think this is one where that's the narrative this weekend. And that's what people are trying to build up, right? And you have a guy in Sugar Sean O'Malley, and he is like the little prodigy that everyone wants to go out there and make a big name for himself, right? So I think by Dana White giving this win to Sean O'Malley, he can finally get that whole leg injury past him and finally be able to keep on moving up the ranks, right? Because we look at the stats, not only on paper, but also just doing the tape. And Sean O'Malley's going to have a field day with the striking. I'm not going to add more to what you guys say, but the reach, the power, the accuracy, this guy's a good striker, and he's going to have the ability to do that at range against Pedro Muniz. It looks like simple enough for him. I'm not going to be one to say, oh, he's going to knock him out or win a decision. I could see both those happening. And for that reason, I'm not going to get stuck trying to bet the plus money when it could easily happen either way. For that reason, I think he's a decent, I don't know if you can say parlay piece on this card because there's not that many, but he is a decent parlay piece in my opinion. I think O'Malley wins. I'm liking him on DraftKings. With that being said, anything's possible in a Sugar Sean show. So I think he wins, but he's not a bet I've made so far.
Makes perfect sense to me. So I think that's basically the consensus. We think that Sean O'Malley is probably going to win the fight. Not breaking any news here. He is a minus 300 favorite, but there's been some, favorites we've passed a little more skepticism on. I do think we all kind of like this from a matchup perspective. But I also will just point out it is a massive step up in competition. Like whether or not we rate Pedro from a matchup perspective, I do think that, just from a quality of competition perspective, like Chris Mutino swinging at you is a lot less nerve-wracking than Pedro Muniz. because he has been there and done that with a bunch of really high level fighters, bunch of world championship level fighters. But I think the bill is going to come due for our boy Pedro Muniz taking too many head strikes per fight. So with that being said, guys, we can move to another fight where bills are going to be coming due for one of these guys. Bryan Barberena takes it by the skin of his teeth. My man Gordo saw me collapsing on a run of bad bets, and I needed my boy Matt Brown to get us over the finish line. And of course, they robbed him in Ohio, these bastards. I'm just kidding. But I did think that, probably objectively the better work was done by the Barberena side. But it still didn't give me great confidence that he's going to be, a bankable UFC side moving forward. I think he's going to have to be match made very carefully. I think he spent a lot of his durability in wars already with Vicente Luque and the like. I think he tried to, make that run towards the top of the division. But the problem is he's not all that athletic a guy. And certainly at the peak of their powers, let's say, Robbie Lawler is a different level of fighter than somebody like Bryan Barberena, but they're not at the peak of their powers. And that's why this is a piece of compelling matchmaking. You have Bryan Barberena, who's very soft to the body, who has like surgically repaired damage to his body, who's got no ability to defend a takedown. And then you have Robbie Lawler, who has no interest in shooting a takedown. And he's kind of getting up there in terms of fight miles, experience. There's a lot of factors here, but he's been doing a lot of coaching. He's been, focused on a lot of things outside the octagon. But I still think Robbie Lawler on any given Saturday night shows up to fight, and he'll fight his ass off as best he can. But he might just have a fresher opponent in front of him here. I do think that there's a chance Bryan could edge this one out just based on a little bit of youth and durability, let's say. But truly, I don't have any interest in betting this fight. I'm going to be rooting for my man Ruthless Robbie Lawler. Have a signed T-shirt. Went to the press conference for UFC 189. So absolute stud. Bangers always since he arrived in the UFC the first time, all the way through this new run in the UFC. Gotta love him, but gonna pass him this fight entirely. Lou, do you got an angle for the people?
Well, Lawler, first of all, your research is horrible. Like, Lawler had a takedown last week at the local Firehouse 151 Beef and Beer cornhole tournament. Dude took down every beer there, took down every piece of stew. Bro was like out of hand. I was there, we're bros. Yeah, he's a bro, I'm a bro, we're bros. All I want, you can't bet this fight. Like, just sit back and watch it. Like, that's the advice. It should be fun. There's no time prop I can really get behind. Like, could this be a 15-minute? Like, if you're gonna make a crazy bet, if you just want to have a fun bet fight to end in split decision. Like, and is there a precedent? Sure. Barberena just fought a 40-year-old. They went to war 15 minutes, and the fight ended in split decision. It's not scientific, but if this is going to be 15 minutes on the feet, it's very possible this is a weird split decision. Now, the one thing I will say is this line movement is banana land nonsense. Like, how did Lawler get bet from plus 130 to minus 120 something? And this isn't a knock on Lawler. This is the kind of fight to me, if you're going to make a bet, it's dog or pass. But that is a huge swing in the number. Is this number just is Jason Witt making these bets? How did this number swing so much? It's crazy. Lawler opens at 1 plus 30. You figure maybe he'll end up as a pick 'em. I see that much money going one way, and just my gambling sense tingles. Oh, man, I don't think you could bet Lawler here. Honestly, man, just look, I'm with you, Liam. I'm rooting for Lawler, man. I'm old school. I love the guy. There's no knock on Barberena. I just love watching Robbie Lawler fight. And I don't know how many times we get to see him fight. This might be the last one. We don't know, man. So look, man, I want to sit back. I want to be stress-free with this one and just be and root for Ruthless.
We can't let this younger generation have their only memory of Robbie Lawler be getting submitted by Ben Askren via Herb Dean Bulldog choke interference.
I mean, man. And by the way, any guys in chat that are 30 or younger, go look up Lawler Condit. McDonald.
He was in the fight of the year like 3 years in a row. That's kind of not
like,
good for your long-term health.
Like, go look up some old school Lawler fights and you'd be like, wow, dude. Like, if you have, I'm just saying, like, I assume a lot of everybody that seems to come in chat that you have here, Liam, like, everybody's pretty well educated. Like, everybody's fight fans come in these things. But if you haven't, do yourself a favor. Like, once this is done, go watch like some random Lawler fight. They're so good.
Watch them both.
And I'm not spoiling anything. If you've never seen these fights, like, you'd be like, cool. I don't. And then at the end of the fight, you'd be like, I'm not sure who won, but you'll have enjoyed yourself. So look, man,
I'm pretty sure he won like 3 or 4 title fights.
Well, now you're spoilers, bro. Like, no. But like, just look, I lean Lawler. There's no confidence, but like, honestly, man, sit back and enjoy a legend maybe getting his last fight in the UFC. Like, just that's it as far as I'm concerned. I do lean Lawler though. Body of work, I guess. There's your expert opinion. Body of work.
You know what? If you want to go back and watch a 1-round fight, Robbie Lawler and what's that guy from Bellator that kicked the shit out of his leg over and over again?
Owen Hart?
No. What? Oh, goodness. It'll come to me, but my goodness. Robbie Lawler had a fight with Manoff. Thank you, Wheezy. Thank you. Melvin Manoff was kicking the shit out of his legs, and Robbie hits him with the most vicious counter combination you'll ever see. And this classic Robbie. Go check that out. But Gordo, we've kept you waiting with a sick hat on. What do you got, brother?
Oh, no, I saw Barberena's outfit at the press conference, and whereas I can't rock the suspension as well, I'll throw the hat on for me. I'll wear some. You know what, too? And I was thinking about it, you guys are talking about all these Lawler fights. One of my favorite fights to watch is that Lawler versus McDonald fight. Like, come on. Beautiful fight. Fun fact, I was only 13 years old when that fight happened, and I still watch it all the time. Love it. Anyways, let's talk about the one at hand. I'm going to get beat by a bag of oranges, losing to yell at me. I don't care what you guys are saying about not betting this fight. I'm betting this fight, and I'm having fun with it, okay?
Excuse me, I'm not the sack of oranges holder. That's Wheezy.
Yeah, what do you do? Get your yam bags out on me? Get your yam bags away from me, man.
I'll just fly to Canada and torture you.
Not on Canada Day, man. Okay. It's one where I truly think that you can't make an argument for Lawler's at the stage of the game for him to be a favorite over Brian Barberena, in my opinion. I don't know if that's a hot take or not this weekend. I am truly on the Brian Barberena side. I'm on him pretty big. I think that Brian Barberena is not as bad as people are putting him out to be. He's had all these surgeries, and I get it. He's had that huge war with Luque, but sure, he lost a wit. Is Lawler going to shoot any takedowns? No, it's going to be one of these ones where he's going to have the ability to push him back against the cage, similar to the Matt Brown style. And by the way, to Liam's point, the crowd would make you think that Matt Brown won that fight, but watching it back, Barberena was pushing him against the cage, throwing volume, winning the control time, winning the exchanges there, the accuracy, always hitting him with everything he's got and standing through it all. And we look at the most recent fight we have on Lawler, and he wouldn't be able to keep up with Barberena in that spot, in my opinion. He lost a couple rounds he lost some striking numbers to Nick Diaz, and that's definitely not a good look either. I think that Brian Barberena's the side. I get the movement coming back in on him, and at plus 110, I had to hit it for a couple of units. I got warned by John Kelly saying if I put this as my lock of the night that I'd be in tears, so I definitely did not do that. Thank you, John Kelly. But I'm on Barberena here, and I know I'm going to get a comment from Dan saying that my voice is more passionate about this one. Yeah, it is. I think that Barberena should be a bigger favorite. I might be told otherwise. I could look completely like an idiot on the weekend, but based on the tape I'm doing, based on what stage I think they're at in their career, I think that Barberena should be a bigger favorite in my opinion, and I'm on him to win. He's doing it for his family. He's got his heart in the game, and I think he goes out there and wins me some money this weekend.
Big blessings, my man. And oftentimes when Gordo walks alone, he walks a fine path. So I think that makes a heap of sense. Wiz, did you have anything you want to get off your chest on this fight?
Are you guys ready?
I don't know. You might piss off certain people in chat if you pick
the
Lawler.
Matrix.
Apparently,
you already know what's about to happen here, Lou. We talked about this earlier. This is the Yam Bags fight of the week. I got it right this time. I know what a Yam Bag is now. This is the Yam Bag fight of the week. It will happen. I am pretty confident that someone is gonna get a hit to one of their Yam Bags. Whether it's Lawler, whether it's Barberena, who knows? I actually think it's Barberena who's going to throw the nasty kick. So, getting to the actual breakdown, though, I kind of like where Gordo's head's at in this fight. I think Barberena should not be the underdog here. I'm not saying that I have a bet on this. My hands are up. I have nothing on this fight. I probably won't have anything on this fight. But I do agree that Barberena is the side. And multiple reasons. I think Lawler is just on his way out. Lawler did lose minutes on the feet against washed Nick Diaz, who looked like he didn't even want to be in that cage. And the type of fight Barberena brought to Matt Brown, I liked the striking there. I liked his durability as well, because he was eating some nasty elbows and some nasty strikes in the dirty boxing against the cage. So I just think Barberena, if he were to do the same thing to Robbie Lawler is going to get put out. I think his miles are just a little too high now. I think it's time to hop off the Robbie Lawler train and to let him ride into the sunset and the bags. So, yeah, that's my take.
Cheers, man. Cheers. I'm hoping for a yam bag. I'm rooting for a yam bag. I'm not betting anything on this fight except a yam bag if I get access to a book that has it. But yeah, I'm just going to sit back and watch this one, man. Going to root for Robbie because he's a old legend of the game. But, man, he's got his hands full with the younger, fresher guy here. So best of luck to him. But I think it's going to be an uphill battle for ruthless Bob Lawler. Guys, this is the fight that really, really, really is perplexing me because we've got on the one hand very dangerous, very powerful, very well-schooled striker in Alex Pereira. And on the other side, we've got Sean Strickland, who is a very, very good MMA fighter. And I think that gets obscured a little bit by the gimmick and the antics and the whatever. But the guy is very good at MMA. And he's been around for a long time. The question that I have is, how do these two guys line up? Rewatching the Uriah Hall fight gave me a lot of cause for concern that would keep me off the Strickland money line here. Strickland does have a pretty good chin, and he showed it in that fight. But anytime you start commenting on somebody having a good chin, that means you've seen them get rocked in the face. And I saw him get rocked in the face over and over in that fight. People talk about he does have good defense, broadly speaking, but that's because he draws out a lot of attacks towards his head, and most of them miss. But a lot of times he just gets hit with one like just clean that bounces his head back, and he's tough and he wants to stay in the fight, so he doesn't back up or anything. But I think that could definitely be exploited here. Alex Pereira has a really slick left hook. I think that Sean could get countered with his, persistent jabbing and get, very badly hurt if he gets caught out of position. And that is, for me, again, what would keep me off the Strickland money line here in this particular matchup. But with that being said, I think that people don't have a full understanding of who Sean Strickland is. They talk about he's not a wrestler, he's not a grappler. I mean, fair enough. That's not how he chooses to fight, but he is definitely a grappler. That's the background he came from. He came into the UFC advertised that way. His first fight, you can go back and watch it. He submitted Bubba McDaniel in the first round with really aggressive top pressure, passing, slick jiu-jitsu, and on top of that, really good ground and pound. And I think the difference between a Michailidis and a Sean Strickland is Sean Strickland doesn't just try and grab a hold of you and stall the fight out. He tries to hurt you. He's really there to fight you. And I think that he's not afraid to fight somebody like Pereira. I think he's going to try and walk him down. And I think he's probably going to be landing, a decent volume of strikes. Sean Strickland's a good fighter, man. He's probably going to walk this guy down for portions of the fight. I just am curious if he's able to keep it up. And I'm also curious if he's able to do it without getting hurt at any point. There's been very few examples of him fighting big power punchers at 185. Strickland, that is. So I think that's a concern. But who has this guy Pereira really fought? Bruno Silva is a big hitter. That's something I can give him credit for. Much bigger hitter than Sean is. But he had a completely different game plan there as well, which is to try and wrestle the guy and grapple him. And Pereira's big. That's the one thing that's going to make it really difficult to wrestle this guy. He's huge for the division. He's got a big back. He's got really awkward build. It's not going to be easy to just grab a hold of him. But I think that, unfortunately, I hate when I agree with a bunch of people, but the Strickland sub is unfortunately live here. And the reason being is because Alex Pereira is very athletic. He's very good at getting back up to his feet because he's a brute, because he's really strong, because he's really physical. It's hard to get a hold of guys like that. But Sean is pretty slick. He's pretty slick when he starts grappling people. And I'll call to mind that Bubba McDaniel fight one more time, because Bubba is 6'3", right? And he was bigger than Sean, and Sean was 23 and he was 30, right? So Bubba was a big guy, known guy, bigger than Sean. And Sean actually ended up moving down to welterweight because he got matched with like the two biggest middleweights you could imagine. He got matched with like 6'6" Luke Barnott, right? So like he was like, F this, like all these middleweights are huge. I'm going down to 170. And it was a career mistake. He cut tons of weight. He says after the fact, like, I felt terrible. I think he's put out a much better product at 185. But I think it's just a really compelling, tricky matchup. Like, even though I think Sean Strickland is a much better MMA fighter, I'm not confident that he's going to win this fight. Styles make matchups, and Sean Strickland is a fighter to his core. He's going to come forward and fight you. And Easy Dose hit him with an overhand right that would have knocked out most mortal men. And instead of, like, I don't know, trying to, like, clinch up with him or do something, he literally stood at space and got spinning head kicked into oblivion. That was at 170, but like Sean is like a guy who's willing to go blow for blow with you even when he's hurt, which is a mistake here if he used to do that. But I did like what he said at the press conference. I'm going to come out here and fight him, but if I get hurt and if things get hairy, I'm going to do what I know I need to do, which is grapple this guy. And the truth of the matter is, when he has tried to push a grappling game plan, I did think that Sean did a pretty damn good job. Like he blew through Uriah Hall with a bunch of those takedowns, got on top of him, made him work, pressed him into the fence, and he's just a bully. Like, he is a quintessential bully, and that's what you want to do to somebody in the clinch, to break them. That's what Khabib did. Just runs you into the fence. You can't move. Eat these shots as we're standing here. It's frustrating, and it makes you want to break mentally. And I do think that is something that could happen here, because Pereira is normally the alpha male. And if he is just getting run into the fence and beat up and like Sean Strickland's in his face, I do think that could be the kind of thing that breaks him. But that being said, I do think that he's going to be a hard guy to get a hold of, a hard guy to control, and the KO is going to be live. I think fight doesn't go the distance might be something I end up targeting here. I have to think about it more. I do think both these guys could win a decision, though. So that's what's really tricky to me. I could see a lot of paths for this fight. But ultimately, I have to favor Sean Strickland, I would think, ever so slightly from who I think is a better MMA fighter. But who do I think wins a little bit more than 50% of the time? I would say Alex Pereira in this spot, based on what I know about Sean Strickland. But it's a hell of a damn fight, and props might be my way of targeting this. Gordo, I'm going to kick it to you first, man. You looked inspired down there. What do you got, brother?
I'm always inspired by you, man. You do a great job breaking that down, but I got to be really careful about what I say on this one. So let me make it clear. Sean Strickland, I had a bet on him to start the week. I am choosing him to win this fight. With that being said, would I go out there and bet him at chalk or at him being a favorite at all? No. And I think a really good comparison this is the Tayfon Ulberg fight last week. And I'm sorry for bringing this up to you guys, but the question we had last week was, Tayfon had all the tools and he could do it, but he chose, or at the way the fight played out, those shoulda, coulda, wouldas never applied to it. Yes, Strickland has the ability to go out there and grapple. He has the ability to go out there and submit him if he can. But at kickboxing range, who has the more power? Who has the more abilities to hurt the other guy? That is probably going to be Alex Pereira. Now, with that all out of the way, I am on Sean Strickland this weekend for under a unit bet, but I'm also on the submission line because I do think that the difference between Achikwi and Sean Strickland is Sean Strickland's a psychopath. Like he's a sadist, psychopath, and whereas he has a big ego, one thing he cares more about everything else is winning. This guy wants to win. He wants to hurt people. And he knows in the back of his head that the best way he can hurt somebody is taking down Alex Pereira and inflicting his will on him. We've seen it all training camp. People been telling that he's been working on his wrestling. He's been working on taking people down. And I think that's exactly what he does this weekend to get the win. If he does that, Alex Pereira is a kickboxer. He's not a mixed martial artist. And I think that Sean Strickland could really have his way with him if he gets past that mental block that I want to prove I'm a better striker than him, because the path of least resistance is on that ground. So with that being said, I'm cheering for Sean Strickland. I think he's the better mixed martial artist. I think that him versus Izzy would be a hilarious press conference. With that being said, I'm not going out there and laying a lot of confidence on Sean Strickland. I'm not being Mr. Wheezy and going and making my ass shaving of the week. I wish I had Wheezy's balls and hair. With that being said, the path of non-resistance is there. He could definitely win this fight. I'm hoping he does, but there's so many intangibles, so many things that I can't rely on for the same reason I couldn't rely on Nishuki last weekend. And for that reason, it's not one I'm coming out here saying with utmost confidence, but I am going to be picking Sean Strickland to win. And I'm also on that sub prop with you guys as well.
Love it. Love it. Wiz, how do you feel?
So here's the thing. Obviously, we know who Pereira is. Perennial kickboxing GOAT. He has proven it at the highest levels of kickboxing and striking. Knocked out Adesanya once, beat him by decision another time. He doesn't have to prove himself on the striking. To me, he has to prove it on the ground. I know he's been training with Glover, which obviously is great for him. But the thing is, it's a whole different animal when you actually try to do this stuff in the cage when someone's actually trying to hold you down. A lot of times, people get the misconception of training with someone that's really good will automatically make them great on the ground or in the submission defense. This takes actual live reps to get the belt around your waist. It's not just training. So in my opinion, I think we're going to see the Sean Strickland enough that we're expecting. And just based off of the interviews that I was looking at last week for when I was taping the Chris Curtis fight, he got asked this question by the interviewer and it was like, I know this is nothing related to you, but what do you think about Sean Strickland's matchup next week? And he clearly said, we're trying to make sure that Sean knows that there's a very easy path to victory for him. We're just telling him not to stand and bang with this guy. Just take him down and make this easy for yourself and use your brown belt. And that's exactly what he said word for word. I've watched this interview so many times so I don't get this wrong. But I really think Strickland is going to get away from his egotistic kind of personality that he tries to portray and actually take, or at least try to take Pereira down and utilize his grappling for the majority of the fight. I don't know if he's going to try and stand and bang with him at all. So my official pick is Strickland here. I will probably get to the window on the money line side for a unit, and I'm on the submission side as well.
I kind of like it. What do you think, Lou? Are we crazy?
Not making
we out to lunch?
I'm not making it 4 for 4, but it's not about the Strickland side here. I can't get behind the sub prop here. I think fight goes at plus 140 isn't, like, to me, it's great value. Over 1.5 at minus 170 is a great parlay piece. Look, man, like, not Pereira's no world-class wrestler, but Strickland hasn't shown, like, that he wants to. And more importantly, Strickland does not fight a style that judges like. Like, look at Strickland's history. Judges, the Hermanson fight, like, judges just don't like the way he fights. Pereira has shown, look, Pereira's not some, like, grappling whiz, but he's shown a decent get-up game against Blindado. I mean, Mick Latest is not some great wrestler, but he's shown a decent get-up game. I think Pereira can hang in there. I actually think that Strickland's going to win a decision here, but it's going to be dicey. It's going to be weird. But Strickland's tough too. And Pereira, look, man, Pereira doesn't get finished. It's like, so could Strickland take him down and kind of like hold him down and like win minutes? I do. Everybody's on the sub prop. That's like the Twitter special of the week. Like, look, man, he's not Kurt Angle, man. He has a wrestling base, but like, I'm just not buying it. I do think he can win tons of minutes. And I think Strickland can win like a really kind of weird, ugly decision. But I think this goes the distance. I don't see Pereira knocking him out. I don't see Strickland getting to finish here. I think the plus 140 is like great equity here. Just keep in mind the last time that like Pereira fought, it was fight doesn't go with Silva, like minus 800 to not go. And he fought a really pacey, respectful style. And I think that Strickland can make this ugly. Even if he's not getting takedowns, he could bully him against the cage. He can win minutes just by making this really ugly. I think Strickland wins. I think he wins decision. but Fight Goes is at plus 140 is great odds for this kind of fight. Strickland does not get a lot of finishes. I mean, traditionally, he is not a guy that gets finished or is finished. So I'm playing into his.
Well, look at the guys he's been fighting, with all due respect. I mean, Uriah Hall has never been submitted. And I like the only person that we're all picking to submit him is Andre Muniz, 3rd-degree black belt, when he's way later in his career.
Has Pereira been finished? I mean, like he's, you know what I mean? Like he's tough. So I'm playing into both of their, I'm playing into Strickland's losing and winning conditions with plus 140. I think it's great equity.
Fair enough, my man. I do think I think that Strickland definitely does have a path to a sub, though. But with that being said, we can move along to the next fight here because we've got a phenomenal co-main event. And guys, if you haven't already, we got 145 people rocking with us live. It's 2:09 a.m. on the East Coast. Please, if you don't mind, bless us with that like and go ahead and drop a subscription on the channel. We're here every week dropping knowledge on your head top. So with that being said, guys, co-main event is here. It's a phenomenal fight. I'm going to kick it around the panel first and save mine for last here, but I think it should be a great fight. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's one of the best fights in MMA that you could make right now. So Gordo, you've got the blessed ever sweatshirt on right now. It would be literally criminal if I did not bring you up first to give us your thoughts on this fight and defend your boy.
Yeah, I think defending my boy is all I'm doing this weekend. And let me just say, before I break down this fight, before I give myself an opinion, this is a biased pick. This is one where you should listen to these smart guys around me before listening to me, because I have a hoodie on. Like, you guys already know who I'm picking. But all I'm going to say is it brings me with great happiness and great pleasure that I'm able to bet Max Holloway at such a big plus money number this weekend. I'm on the side of the guys who, bias or not, I think that Max Holloway won the second fight. And sure, I had a bet on him, but I've rewatched it, and I do think Holloway won that second fight. But we're looking at pure numbers, all right? FanDuel's break my heart because they're boosting things. They're giving me plus 375 on a Holloway to win a decision. There's a 21% implied odds, and that is just something I can't really wrap my head around, because Max Holloway is a guy who he's durable. We all know what is durable as his best asset, but he keeps fights close. And every fight with Volkanovski, whereas Volkanovski may have had the upper hand, especially in the first one, he kept it close. He's tough. He stays in the fights. He got great output, great volume, great length, great pressure. There's a reason Max Holloway is my favorite fighter. He's a very talented guy. And I just think that when you're giving me a 21% chance of him winning a decision, I think that is criminal. I think that Max Holloway is able to stay in the fight for long, and I think he'll be able to make it close, and I think he's able to make adjustments. Now, let's talk about props, okay? Over, under. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that Volkanovski should be able to knock him out. I don't know. You haven't given me anything to prove that Max Holloway can be human. All right. The guy takes so much damage and never been knocked down. Of course, it's going to catch up to eventually, but until I see that, I can't get on that side. I think the over is the way to go. I think that decision line is the way to go. And I think it's just going to be a really fun fight. I'm going to let these three take it over because I've got my bias out of the way. You guys all know what side I'm on, but Max Holloway plus 175, Max Holloway by decision plus 320 or 375 if you got FanDuel right now. That's where I'm going. I'm ready to get my heart broken. I'm cheering for him, and I think he has the tools to get it done, but I'm being realistic. Volkanovski is a perennial guy. He is super good at what he does, and I know that both of you guys are making these improvements, so I'm excited to see what goes down, but I'm happy to have the dog money on the guy I'm cheering for.
Heck yeah, brother. And I've heard a lot of people say this week, you can't really ask for much more than an elite fighter like Max Holloway at that big plus number. God bless. Makes sense to me. Wiz, how do you feel?
This might sound a little biased because I'm probably the biggest Volkanovski fan there ever is. But here's the thing. In Max Holloway's last fight against Yair, I feel like he looked he looked very human. He got touched up a little too much for my liking. The striking defense definitely went down significantly in that fight, in my opinion. I don't think I've ever seen Max get hit that much ever in any of his fights, just by looking at the tape over the past 4 to 5 fights. And another thing, this is similar analysis to how I was analyzing the Weili Zhang and Joanna fight. Now, I know this isn't as long as a layoff at all for Max Holloway, but there's been improvements constantly from fight to fight for Volkanovski. versus for Holloway, it's just been the same fighter. I don't think I don't think Holloway has improved anything in the grappling game. He's not going to grapple Volkanovski. I don't think he's going to try and wrestle him. What Max Holloway is going to do is just try to stand and bang. And I've seen regression in the defense for the striking. So what makes me confident in Holloway this weekend? I don't feel any which way confident. And I just feel like the chin is going to give up soon. And I think Volkanovski could be the person to take it. I'm not confident in saying that Volkanovski can get him out of there by KO. I think Volkanovski can take him down to the ground and hit him with a rear naked choke or some sort of armbar. I would not be surprised if Volkanovski gets a submission win this weekend. So inside the distance isn't a bad look for Volkanovski. The money line side, a lot of people think it's a little bit too wide and that there's no value left. I think it's fair at fair pricing where there isn't much value left on it, but I wouldn't mind taking it. I personally still wouldn't mind taking it because I just think Volkanovski is just levels and levels ahead of Max Holloway right now. And to be honest, I have him as probably the best fighter pound for pound in the world right now. So yeah, I'm definitely on Volkanovski this weekend.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Lou, how about you, my man?
So there's two value sides here. One is Volk by KO to end the trilogy, and one is Holloway by decision. I mean, they fought 10 rounds. I can't see this not going another 5 rounds. And if you're going to play a decision prop, like, again, if we're playing numbers here, Holloway decision at almost plus 300 on some books is crazy odds for a legend. Look, man, I love Volkanovski. Wiz and I were talking about this earlier. Like I think Volk is just improving every fight. But if we're playing a numbers game, you give me 3-1 for a fight that's probably going to go decision 95 out of 100 times. I mean, we've seen it twice. If this fight's going decision every time, you're giving me one of these dudes that are so close at plus 320 odds. I'm taking it. That's a simple analysis. It's a simple numbers play. I think Volk beats him. I think Volk's improving. I think this dude's P for P incredible. Like, he's getting better every fight. And he's still, like, young in his career, too. Like, he's only going to get better. But 3-1 on a legend to get a decision win, like, it's a value spot, man.
Yeah, so for me, the way I came down on this fight is I think about Max Holloway, and he's a very talented fighter, right? He's one of the elites of the division. And I think that he's stylistically a nightmare for so many people because they're not able to go blow for blow with him. And, you know, Max is able to run away with the fight as a result. So it normally starts off a little bit competitive where both guys are throwing, and then he just never stops, right? He keeps something in your face. He keeps moving you backwards. He keeps switching stances. He keeps pressuring you, prodding you, poking you, and making you lash out. And then he's moving around you. He's setting everything up. He's being very modular in his approach to MMA, right? He can just switch into different things. That's why in the Yair fight, you know, the takedowns were opening themselves up for him. Where he's not really like a wrestler per se, but he just will take something when it's there and when it's a good idea for him, because he was taking some hard shots in that fight. And, you know, the problem that I have with Max from a betting standpoint is, number one, I think he's going to be a very public side this week. I do expect that. Now, I don't think that means it's going to be a one-way public side, but I think that it's going to be, you know, a fight that gets two-way action, and one of these guys is a big plus money underdog. So I think that that's something to keep in mind. And I also think that capping service made a good point. Yair could have won that fight if he did not break his foot in the third round. His foot was a balloon. I actually thought that fight was really competitive. And I did bet small on Yair inside the distance and Yair money line the night that he fought Max Holloway, because it was blown out to like plus 700 or something insane. And anytime there's an elite featherweight matchup, I will be playing a plus 700, just anytime. That being said, man, I love Alexander Volkanovski's game. I always have. And what for me is the differentiating factor is I've always liked how he mixes his game together and he uses his physical attributes. So he's got the length on his arms to throw big, powerful hooks around straight punches, and he does it when guys try and come in on him with the jabs. I do think that it's going to be essential for him in this fight to score with his leg kicks, because that was how he dominated the first fight. With Max, he kind of took him out of his element early. He got him uncomfortable, unbalanced in his stance. And I think Max did a great job of preventing that in the second fight. Volk is a really smart guy. He's going to be coming up with new ways to get in there. And I think his inside leg kick has always been like his money kick. Like, guys can't really defend it. He switches stance so often that he disguises it really well. And he just like takes you out of your stance. And that sets up more, combinations. So for me, I think Nick hit the nail on the head. Volk, highest IQ in the UFC. I think that's a fair statement. I think he's certainly up there. I think his grit and determination is definitely up there. Very tight chokes wrapped around his head, didn't go out. Chad Mendes dropped this guy with strikes. He kept moving forward and throwing. Max Holloway dropped him with strikes. He kept coming forward and throwing. I think that, you really have to break this man physically. You have to put him to sleep, or you have to choke him unconscious, or you're really going to have a hard time beating him, because he's the ultimate consummate competitor. He's got really good skills. He's really well coached. He stays calm and poised under pressure. And the guy is an absolute savage. Like, while he's making the comeback, he's like, oh, you didn't like that shot, you can't take that. Like, he'll literally talk to you as he's beating your ass. And I think that he's a nice guy outside the cage, I bet. But inside the cage, he's a freaking prick. He's a piece of shit. And he's going to beat you up and tell you about it and let you know why it's happening. And I think he's really gotten to Max a little bit, over the course of the trilogy. I think if I was in Max's position, it would weigh on me heavily that I spent, so much time, effort, energy to get back to that spot, thought I got to the mountaintop and they took it away from me, proverbially. And Max says he thinks he won both fights, man. And that for me was like the straw that broke the camel's back, where I was like, you got to be honest with yourself first. And he did not win that first fight. I thought it was a pretty clear win for Volk. I think at worst it's 4 rounds to 1. I do think there's an argument for 5 rounds to 0, but I also think there's an argument for 3 rounds to 2 for Max in the last fight. I do think the stronger case is for Volk 3-2, but the clearest 2 rounds of the fight are the Max Holloway rounds. So with all respect to both these guys, elite featherweights, take nothing away from them. I think that they're going to swing to a finish. I think that they are going to put themselves in the pocket. I think both these guys have a point that they want to prove. And I think they both kind of know, we don't want to put ourselves through another 25 minutes of this. Let's go out there, find out who's the better man and be done with this. I don't think they want to do a 4th fight, either one of them. I think they want to have some closure and move on with their lives. It's a lot to keep just running back the same iterations in your life against these same people and same storyline. I think this will be the payoff. And unfortunately, I do think that Volk is going to send Max Holloway out for the first time in a long time. I think he's going to be putting him out in the 3rd round. So I like Alexander Volkanovski here to get the win. I think he's probably going to get it done inside the distance. And I think it should be a hell of a fight, but got to ultimately favor the guy who I think is the best in the UFC today. The number 1 pound for pound fighter. I think it's Alexander Volkanovski, and I think it would take a Herculean effort to beat him. So all credit and respect to Max Holloway. If anybody in this division could do it, there's 2 or 3 guys that I see that could even challenge this guy. And I think Max is one of them, because he's tactical, because he's adaptable, because he's got a multivariate and multi-skilled game, because he can change his fight plans, fight over fight, iteration over iteration. That's always going to keep you live. But I think that really, if you want to get to this guy Volkanovski, you need more dynamism, you need more power, you need more, of a fight-altering maneuver. You need to be able to submit him. You need to be able to knock him out. You got to be able to do something to really put this guy on the ropes, because we've seen you could put this guy near the ropes, and if he can even see the light, he's going to come back and smash your head in right after. I couldn't believe what he was able to do in a recovery period after escaping those submissions. I think he's a really impressive fighter, and I think we'll be telling stories about him for a long time. Max Holloway too, because he's a young veteran, because he's been around the game forever, because he was already a featherweight champion. It's like, how much can we ask of this man to continue to give in his life? But I think it's going to be a hell of a fight, and I think they're both going to have each other's respect at the end. But this is, for me, where Volk solidifies himself as the best. But we have one fight left to break down, and we have a hell of a main event here where I think, Jared, the Killer Gorilla, Cannonier, might not be getting all the love and respect he deserves this week. Now, that being said, I'm not here, advocating, go empty your bank account or something. None of these things, right? You got to take this, as just a analysis of the odds. I look at this main event and I see a stand-up kickboxing match at 185 pounds with a minus 5XX next to it. And I say, ooh, that's just not for me. Other people might feel differently, and, more power to you. I think that, like, Israel Adesanya has been a pretty bankable commodity. Granted, I want to point out he has lost as a favorite before in the UFC, so that's something to keep in mind. But by and large, if you bet him, you've been a happy camper, right? You've been making a lot of money betting on this guy. But I do think that Jared Cannonier offers some interesting threats. Number one, he's a very powerful leg kicker. Number two, he throws wider hooks. As people are trying to exit, he's got a unique skill set. He doesn't really try and fight like a normal guy. He kind of brings a different approach to every fight. In the Robert Whittaker fight, he came out there and just tried to assault the man's legs and get him off of his base, off of his balance early. It didn't fully work out. I think he ended up hurting his hand early in that fight as well. But this is a guy who is very tough. He's very durable, I would reckon, at the 185-pound class. And I think that he is going to be swinging with absolute, heavy leather here. Do I think Izzy could put him away? Sure. But I also think that Izzy, at times is a little bit complacent. I think he leaves his opponent room to get into a fight. I think at times, he's a little bit low volume, especially against guys that he views as a threat, especially a power threat. The Yoel Romero fight, he felt one of those exchanges and he's like, yeah, let's just throw leg kicks instead. I think that if that happens here, it could turn into a slower paced fight. But I also think Jared is going to be, trying to put himself in a position to win this fight. I don't think he's just going to wait and watch this opportunity pass him by like a Marvin Vettori who's still young and will probably get another shot. He kind of just let the moment get to him there. He didn't really fight his fight. And I think afterwards he'd tell you the same thing. He probably went running that night. Like, what the hell did I just do? But I think that, this is a guy who he's got one chance. He's 38 years old, but that's not that much older than Izzy. He's 6 years older. And what I found fascinating about this is we had Yuri Prohashka, 29 years of age, taking on Glover Teixeira, 41 years of age. A lot of people talk about age in MMA, right? That's a 13-year age gap. Predictive analytics would tell you that's 70% in the UFC, 13-year age gaps. Now we're talking about a 6-year age gap, and everybody's like, yeah, no, this should be minus 5XX. It's wait a second. I don't follow the thought process there. Yes, I think that Izzy's more likely to win a decision. Yes, I think he's more likely to win by knockout. But we're saying it's 85%. We're saying, what do you guys price a black swan event at? Where somebody tears an ACL or trips on the way into the octagon or their girlfriend broke up with them or what? I got to put that at 5%. Okay, so now we're starting with 95%. You're saying that 10% gap is where you're getting your big edge from 85 to 95%. It's for me, that's just very thin margins here. You got to be paying a really big price here. So you have to pick a prop. And that's where it gets dicey because it's is he going to win a decision? I don't know. He normally does. Is he going to knock out Cannonier? I mean, he definitely has a chance. This is where it becomes a tricky fight. They're going to try and force you into a funnel, which is which Izzy prop should I play? And I think that just could be a trap for, losing some money. So I think if you're looking to take a shot on this fight, maybe look at the totals market, maybe look at a prop that you like and play it small, but I don't think you should be getting out over your skis here. I think it's a dog or pass situation of a classic sense where I'm not saying Jared Cannonier is the world's most attractive dog. I'm just saying you got to go with the dog or you got to pass on the fight when it's minus 5XX in a world title fight. And it's two guys who are probably going to be swinging hammers at each other from distance. That just doesn't make sense mathematically, in my opinion. Lou, how do you feel?
I agree with everything you said, and it's a numbers game. I mean, the line's out of control, even as a parlay piece. He's not adding much to any parlays you're really doing at this point. The one creative way I think you could get with this fight if you do think that Cannonier has a puncher's chance, and I do, and look, and it's a title fight, like it's the big stage, it's a big cage too, so like you don't know. So fight to end in a knockout, I got it. Like I did not put this in, but like some books are hanging at a plus 110. You're getting, I mean, look, I don't, if this ends in a sub, like, okay, I posted something earlier on Twitter, like the BetMGM's hanging like Cannonier by Ezekiel choke at plus 10,000 odds. Like, all right, cool. Like great odds, guys. I mean, Izzy's path, Cannonier's been chinny. He's hittable. I think if Izzy is going to get I don't see a sub here. So fight goes the distance and a knockout are kind of the same thing to me. You're getting a little bit of a better discount. I think plus 110 is reasonable. I don't see a path where Cannonier wins a decision. I mean, if Cannonier is winning, it's by a knockout. Izzy obviously can win by decision here, but I think if getting the championship rounds, Cannonier is going to start getting tired. He's huge for the division. I think Izzy, I mean, look, man, we've seen this before where guys like they just get these decision wins and they're content with it. Like they don't want to get hurt in the later rounds, but could Izzy get him out of there later? A very tired Cannonier? Absolutely. He's very hittable, and Izzy's power and speed carries late in fights. The Whitaker fight's like an outlier. Like he just kind of didn't really try anything, but like we've seen Izzy.
Well, he didn't try anything against Vettori. He didn't try anything against Whitaker. He didn't try like he just doesn't try anything.
I mean,
unless you force him, unless you like put him at knife's edge, like do something to me. Like
I mean, it's almost like he needs to be like kicked in the ass to get motivated. It's weird, but we've never seen him fatigued late. I mean, like it's not like the power and the speed isn't there late. It's the will. So is he going to be there late? And there's a narrative piece too. He's been calling for Cannonier for over a year. Like he's been counting. He said if he wins his next couple of fights, like he deserves a title shot. Like he's been setting this fight up for a while. He knows stylistically this should be one-way traffic. You can't bet a money line. If you want to bet him decision, there's not even a ton of value in that. So his money line, his KO prop is plus 150. Fight to end in a KO is plus 110. You may as well take fight to end in a KO even if you like Izzy, because then you get the banana peel. You get Cannonier landing a lucky shot. So that's one way to play it. He's not a parlay piece. Honestly, I might sit the whole main event out. The line's it's way out of control. But that's one interesting way I'm looking at to maybe play it.
Fight doesn't go to decision is minus 115. That's a little interesting to me right off the rip.
Yep.
So I will definitely be investigating that further. Wizz, what do you got, kid? You got to play on this? What you like?
No. Just no. Here, you guys touched on the points pretty spot on there. I think it's just a stylistic nightmare for Cannonier, in my opinion. It's going to be a stand-up kickboxing fight where Cannonier is going to try and land a big haymaker, and Izzy is just going to be as elusive as he always is. It's going to be, it possibly could be one of those boring fights and go all 5 rounds, or I could see Izzy getting like a flash knockout, kind of like how he did against Costa. So either way, I do think Izzy wins pretty handedly. I just see
Cannonier is not the same mental midget that Costa is. He will not do that. I don't think. He could get knocked out like cold, but he's not going to be like doing freaking dance moves and laughing and making a joke as he's getting his ass whipped.
100%. I wasn't referring to it in that sense, but my ideology behind it is I just don't think Cannonier presents anything different than what Costa would present as far as a striker. Obviously, I rate his jabs more than Costa's jabs. I rate his hooks a little bit more. Recklessness, he's probably a little bit more on the safer side than Costa, a little more defensively sound. But at the end of the day, it's a striker versus striker here. I don't see Cannonier going for takedowns, which leads me to believe that Israel Adesanya is just going to be that same old Israel Adesanya and just be elusive and get out of the way of the big targets, and either win his way to a decision or hopefully or possibly knock him out. But yeah, I'm not invested in this fight in any which way possible. No parlay pieces, no nothing. I just want to enjoy the main event. It's harder to find an angle on this one. I'll say that.
Yeah, all I'll mention is just that Israel Adesanya will probably be the most popular parlay piece on Saturday, period. regardless of sport, cross-sport parlays. Israel Adesanya will be in a lot of them. I know a lot of people that weren't happy about that Holly Holm outcome. I know a lot of people that were not happy about that Calvin Kattar outcome. I'm just letting you guys know that it was the same deal those days. So I'm just saying that. And we can move to my man Gordo and see what he has to say because he's always breaking down the matchups very analytically.
Well, maybe not so much this one. I don't know if it's the fact you guys are breaking my heart with Holloway if I'm on the ice in 3 hours, but I don't got much passion on this one. And I am, you want to call me a square, Liam, call me a square, but I am one of the ones who have parlayed up Adesanya this week, and I parlayed him with your boy Lockman off last week. So I got 3.4 units straight on Adesanya this weekend. We're taking that. And let me just explain my breakdown pretty simply. It's just styles make matchups. And if we're talking about a guy like Vettori or Whitaker or people like who will push a pace, who will walk forward and wrestle Adesanya, yeah, maybe have a chance. But I don't think many people in this division are beating Adesanya in a 5-round kickboxing bout. It is going to be Jared Cannonier looking to hit a Hail Mary right hand the whole night. And is it going to be the most entertaining fight? No, it's not. And is there a possibility for Cannonier to knock out? Of course. It's a fight. Anything is possible. But stylistically, it is an absolute dream for Adesanya. He is the more technical fighter. He's got just a better ability in the first place. I don't even have to waste my breath too much on this one to say that stylistically on paper, this should be Adesanya all day. Cannonier's not going to go out there and push a pace or wrestle him the whole time. He's going to be looking for a right hand. And in the bigger cage with more room, with more technical ability, it is Adesanya's fight to lose. Unfortunately, I got to take it that way. Give me Adesanya. It's a weird one because I'm looking at this most expensive fighter in the DraftKings slate. It's so hard to pick a side. I do think he knocks out Cannonier. I do think that over 5 rounds, if you're kickboxing with Jared Cannonier, if you're kickboxing with Israel Adesanya, you're in for a world of trouble. I think that he picks his spots, lands clean on Cannonier because Cannonier does not move his head off the center line, and I think he knocks him out. But am I saying that with much conviction? No. Give me the money line straight up. Line's kind of out of proportion now, so there you go.
Can I ask you guys, DFS experts, a question, Liam, since it fits with
Sure.
your sponsorship? What are Izzy's totals for PrizePicks this week for like strikes landed?
That's a great question. I'll pull that up right now. I think it's over 100.
I'm sure your sponsor would be very happy with this question on your show.
Absolutely, brother. And what I'm seeing right now is 80.5 significant strikes is the projected for Israel Adesanya.
What do you like?
Fantasy score is projected at 110.5.
What are your leans
thinking.
on that, Liam?
Well, I think that's an interesting one, man. I think it's a really hard one to get a beat on because it's very possible, like, Jared Cannonier can't take 80 significant strikes, but it's also possible that if it goes to a decision, he does easily absorb 80 significant strikes. So that one is actually one of the ones that's a little tricky for me. But the ones that I did give out on Pub Sports Radio that I thought were some pretty solid plays were potentially the Dricuss du Plessis over on Fantasy Score. If he wins the way I think he's going to win, it's going to go over that. But also the under on Fight Time. It is now moved to 12.5 minutes. When I gave it out on the show, it was 14.75 minutes. So they were basically saying, like, this is going to go the distance, like yes or no. And we said no. And now the line has been adjusted accordingly on PrizePicks. So, I think those are definitely a lot more clear spots, whereas the main event, it can be tricky. I've had success capping actually Izzy's significant strikes in the past, but this is one that I think is a weird style dynamic in terms of breaking down the significant strikes. But I do appreciate that shout. And guys, if you haven't already, go check out my sponsor, PrizePicks. All the information you need is in the description box below. Use that promo code Liam. They will deposit match you 100% up to $100. And guys, with that being said, we've done it. All the fights on UFC 276, bottom to top, the power panel, the fabulous four, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. We've done it again, and we're getting you out of here before 2:45 in the morning. So bless you all. Appreciate you guys for being here. And let me tell you guys where you could find these great guests on the way out. Uncle Lou, could you tell them where the people could find you and all the great work you and MMA Engine are doing?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of fans in chat, and there's a couple people that aren't. And you're going to hate the Lambo show tomorrow if you ain't a fan of me, because I'm on the Lambo show with my guy Brady. We are the guests on the Lambo show. MMA Engine, man. I do shows all week. I post about it every day. But But more importantly, I'm debuting a new show Saturday. And Liam, I don't even know if you know about this, but I'm debuting a new show, 2 o'clock. It's going to be a quick show on the MMA Engine, doing late line movement, best bets. And who's my partner for the show? Billy motherfucking Briz. And I, the Philly boys, as a tandem, going to do just a quick.
Can't beat it.
Best bets. But really, the whole show is just about chat, man. If you're in the chat, like, fire questions at us. Be about the fights, like weird stuff. Like, we're going to have a great time. It's going to be a fun show. Check us out 2 p.m. Saturday. And, but really follow the 3 guys I'm in with, dude. Dude, I'm the weakest of the 4 of us. I'm just happy they let me on the show, man. That's the benefits of being old.
You're kidding me. We appreciate you, brother. Couldn't have a yam bag special without our old Uncle Lou. Appreciate you. Wiz, tell the people where they can find you, my brother.
First and foremost, I want to thank everyone in the chat. Liam, Lou, Gordo, you guys are great. Thanks for having me on, as always. And yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at Wizz Bets. Obviously doing shows every week on multiple different channels, and I'll be tweeting those out. You see me also tweeting out MLB picks, MMA, when the NFL season hits, NBA, all of the above. You could probably see me betting on everything. So yeah, give me a follow. Also give these 3 great gentlemen a follow. They deserve it.
Appreciate you, my brother. And Wiz, I say it every week, putting out free bets, one of the very best doing it on Twitter, putting out free content, free information, evidence-based. Just check out his work. I think you will enjoy what you see. So shout out to you for coming on, my brother. Appreciate you as always. And my brother for life, Gordo. We both got to be up again in 3 hours. Going to be an absolute brutality on our sleep schedule, but we did it once again because we just can't let the people down.
Oh, of course, man. There's no one else I'd be here for. You're an absolute gem. Before I get into where you can find me, first of all, I've been tailing Wiz on his baseball bets this week. He's killing it, as always. I'll have to get him on one of my shows this time. Absolutely doing great on that side. Lou, you're too humble. You are a super smart guy. I know you're going to be cashing these tickets. Much love to you. Thank you for always hanging out with me. And Liam, like you said, brother for life, would always come on here for you. I got you. I'm going to make a lot of bank this weekend. Hopefully just not on the Volkanovski fight. But there we go, guys. Like I said, I'm on the ice in 3 hours. 2 hours and 50 minutes. All right.
What a maniac.
It's Canada Day.
Maniac.
For sure. When I'm back, bro, it's Canada Day. I'll have those drinks out. I'll have those fireworks ready. I'll be ready to go. This is a super exciting card. I am more than happy to. I was super happy to come on this show and break it down with you guys. It was a lot of fun. And I, as always, I try to bring the energy. I got enough hats here. There's a couple things you guys haven't seen over here that maybe I'll keep for another panel sometime. That is maybe a bit too overboard. But no, it was a lot of fun as always. If you guys want to find any more of my work, I just posted my full DFS breakdown. Yes, I'm a DraftKings player at heart. Whole DFS breakdown on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. Not mistaken, it's in the description down below. If not, I'll comment it in chat a few times, but that's where I put out a lot of my work. I also did a best bets video on the Current MMA YouTube channel, but all my stuff, you can find it on Gambles Gordo on Twitter. Check me out there, sauce me a follow, and I hope everybody makes some money this weekend. You guys are a lot of fun, and I appreciate coming on. Let's make some money, guys.
Absolutely. Couldn't beat it. And last thing I'll say for the night is somebody said MMA fortune teller goat. All I'm saying is just call Big Mouth just one time for me, if you don't mind. Call Big Mouth. But God bless, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you all for rocking with us. 115 people still rocking with us at 2:42 a.m. And I truly appreciate you for it. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and get yourself subscribed because we do this each and every week. And we're going to be bringing you interviews as well with my man, Blake Perry, once again. Brought him on last time, tried to warn you guys, plus 750 underdog. When most people look for a way out, Blake Perry finds a way in, and we're going to be having him on once again. He's going to be fighting on Fight Pass in the very near future. So that's something to look forward to. If you're not already, get subscribed to the channel. Drop a comment on this video. Let me know what your favorite bet for the card is. And get at me on Twitter, at Liam Picks Fights. I've been dropping hammers there. Dinger Tuesday, been on fire with that. On top of that, been hitting a bunch of plays in other sports. Today, absolutely crap the bet in baseball. So you know what that means. It's Revenge Friday. I'm getting right back at it. And on Saturday, we're going to have a blessed time too. Let's get these bets across the finish line. I hope that you guys all have a wonderful rest of your evening. I hope that you guys have a great card. And God bless you all. Come back next Friday, and we're going to have all the same fun again. Take care, folks.